We usually try to do a weekly show every Thursday, but it tends to kind of not be the most highest of priorities that we have. So when we do have a show, everyone's kind of shocked that we actually have a show. So
better to be surprised than disappointed, right?
yeah, exactly.
How often do you put up videos, like your normal videos?
Every 2 days is kind of my pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that stream, Timmy? Are there people? Hey,
I'm watching.
We got
folks.
some peoples, man.
Zach, check it. Hey,
Stream
hi everybody.
status is okay.
Jay in studio.
I don't know which camera to look at. There's so many.
Yeah.
Look at that one.
So yeah, there's the wall. You know, we kind of make them invisible. So just ignore them if you can, I guess.
Okay.
You know.
I can do that.
And at the end of the show, I'm gonna do this bit
It's all
with
moved
you with
around, I usually put the
Haggerty.
high one in.
Oh,
I
okay.
gotta. It's
Yes.
it's not corny.
Then
I promise.
Here, then Matt. Then
I'm happy with Haggerty right now.
You like Haggerty?
They just put my car on the number 2 most desired in 30 years.
Well, that's actually the list that I was going to discuss. The modern collectibles list. Did you get that?
I did, and it doesn't mean I'm gonna be any less hard on my car. I'm gonna.
Fair enough. 10 hottest future collectibles. Yeah, we'll end with that. Okay. We have an audience. We have a show. Do we have a co-host that's good? Yeah.
What? Yeah, we're
I'm
fine.
looking for your link here so I can.
Oh,
share it
do you want a link? Do you have a link?
I think it's on your.
It should just be right on our homepage. It's also in my Instagram bio. It's on our Facebook. It should be everywhere.
Oh, there we go.
Anyone who's listening to the live stream, give us a little comment in that feed if you have any significant, and I mean big troubles with the audio. No, there's the variation in fucking headphones and shit. It's just too great. But
Yeah.
we do the best we can for everybody.
Depending on which device you have and what connection you have, and da-da-da. But the complaints have gone down quite a lot.
Yeah. I did a test with the other studio and headphones, and it was like, holy shit, every headphones are like so much different. All right, ready? Yeah, let's do a show.
Ready for ready?
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Smoking Tire Podcast. Hola. That's how you got to do it. You got to like just kind of start.
And,
Here it
and
is.
mouth sound effects. There we go.
It's a new mouth sound effect every day. Jay of JazyTwoCents in studio.
Hey,
Hello,
Ray.
sir.
How are you?
I was a little late, is how I was, because fuck traffic. This goddamn town.
It's so bad.
You just come to expect it. Moving around
No.
LA.
Here's the problem. I spent the last like 6 days on my scooter. Now I bought a TV to fix our TV in here. I bought a TV, so I need to bring a
So
car
you
today.
Can't just split traffic everywhere you're going.
You're just sitting in traffic and going, why do I have to sit here? This is so crazy. And then it's like there's 2 modes of people driving in New York. It's like they're looking for parking or on their phone. Those are like the 2, especially between Venice and here. Fuck!
Well, it's. I tell people that are not from here, you don't measure distance, you measure time.
Yeah.
When you move around LA.
Yeah. Distance
True.
is completely irrelevant. Like
Yep.
it took me, I guess, about half the time to get from Venice to here as you claim it took you to get from Claremont to
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Fuck! What a fucking shit show this
Well, we were
place
going
is.
against traffic getting out here, which was kind of nice.
And Claremont's how many miles? Like 30?
40.
30, 40 miles, right. You were at
That's
6.
Far, I was at 6.
a little
fucking
closer,
sucks.
Jay, if you can. Just a little closer.
Yeah, bring your mic to you, sir.
I would get real close and comfortable with your mic here.
Welcome back
it,
to the studio. Now Vis Video, huh?
Yeah,
and Vis
it's kind of
Live.
weird. It's kind of weird. Now I got to think a little bit more about the body language.
Ooh, that's a good point.
A little bit, a little bit. I'm just happy for these little guys. That is really.
Those are vitamins.
People are all like, "Oh
Yeah.
man, remember your early shows when you used to be able to hear the bong in the show?" And I'm like, "Oh, bro, please." I'm
Before we had sponsors.
so glad that those days are over. What's happening in your life? Saw that pretty little ZL Wheezy outside.
Man, I'll tell you what. I didn't intend to have the car. Honestly, my wife set up that
Here
purchase.
or really?
Period. Yeah, because
Your
she got
wife?
tired of hearing me bitch about how bad I wanted the car, but I was
Uh-huh.
too cheap to go buy it.
Uh-huh.
So she's actually friends with the general manager of Mark Christopher, his wife, and so she set up the sale and said, "Go pick up your car." And I was
Just
like,
one day, it
okay.
was like, "Hey, it's there."
I was drunk at a concert and I wouldn't shut up about the car.
Yeah.
So she basically was texting the friend during that, and then the next day was like, "Go talk to him." And I didn't expect to get the car.
That's awesome.
I drove away with the car in less than 2 hours, and I'm like, "What have I done? What have I started?" And I've already been modifying the shit
Do
out
you
of it.
still
so.
feel that way?
No, in fact, now I mean the honeymoon period's gone, and I'm now seeking more power. So it's like,
That happens.
Wow.
well, it
Doesn't that
feels
happen?
slow
Wow, you
now.
got
It
used
feels
to it
slow
way
already.
too quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, and it's already stage 1, so it's 700 horsepower, and it's still not enough.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're tracking it, right?
yeah, I'm road
So
racing it.
aren't you then, you can get used to braking later and, turning ability and all those things instead of just going, I need that, give me the heroin, more heroin.
Yeah,
Because you're just getting. We've filmed plenty of people with 1,000 horsepower cars. Like, you're gonna get bored of that too, man.
We filmed a guy with a Schweitzer GTR that was doing 1100 wheel, and he had been dailying it for 3 months. Like, pretty easy car to daily. It's not that big of a pain in the ass. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm about to send him back. Go for like the 1400 kit." And it's like, bro.
but see, we're not. I'm not going for ridiculous power. I don't want to overpower the chassis.
With 700 horsepower. No, I know.
Well, okay, so we're looking at about 850 crank with E85.
It's like a Miata.
yeah,
Same balance, just bigger.
So the power to weight would be like a Miata at that point, just a really fast Miata.
Right.
But no, I'm trying to move the power band a little bit farther up because the low end torque is so ridiculous. Low speed cornering and exit speed is hard to manage wheel spin.
Yeah, the PTM kind of helps with that, actually.
Even in race mode, though, it's super invasive. So.
Well, it's invasive because of the alternative.
But I did drive it around Chuck. but I did drive it around Chuck Walla with it off entirely and had no problems.
Yeah, no, in the dry you can do that.
Yep.
Like, so when I tested that car, it was a VIR and it was raining.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, and on those tires, and so in PTM 1 and 2, it was phenomenal in the wet of what it could do. And as the day got drier, it stopped raining and it dried out. And I went click, 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 ended up at off.
So you know that really wet spell we had in February? That was because I bought the car.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, I've got all this horsepower, tires that don't like the wet or the cold. I still drove it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I played around with it a lot to see just how much each mode would let me get away with. And it will let you have a lot of fun.
I just don't think invasive is the right word.
Well,
it's not invasive. It's effective.
On the track,
invasive is like invasive. Have you haven't driven a car recently where it's invasive?
G-Wagon.
Where the car dies. Where it's like, oh, there's wheel spin, and it's like it actually like dies.
Okay.
Like it'll completely kill the throttle. The ZL1s and the one in the Corvette is one of the best ones out there.
Right.
Because you can hear it and you can hear it go, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you can hear that it's doing the thing, but it doesn't reduce your momentum.
No, that's fair. That's fair enough.
Which is about the best you can ask.
There's a lot of times where on track it will, even with the tires hot, it will still let you get quite a bit sideways and keep power on. Because I mean, if you're starting to slide the car, last thing you want is the throttle to cut.
Right. No, it will allow you to like maintain and not have a super scary moment.
Right.
In modes like 4 and 5, and for those completely unfamiliar, 1 is like super vagina mode, and then it goes up to 5, which is like you can almost drift it.
Right.
And
like
then,
a couple
and then
degrees.
Then there's off. Yeah.
Like they figured out like you can separate traction from yaw. So if you're getting a little bit of wheel spin, they might cut the throttle a little bit for you to have continued forward momentum. But if your yaw isn't to the point where they think you're gonna have a problem, they won't like start hitting, activating different brakes.
Yeah, it takes into account of what steering angle looks like and all kinds of things to determine if the driver's actually out of control versus the driver's just having a little bit more fun. And I did give
it's one of the better systems.
So my instructor is a GT3 bronze driver for IMSA.
Oh yeah.
And so I let him do a 25-minute session in it, pushing it as hard as he could. And he's driven the GT3 GTRs and prototypes and all kinds of stuff. And he had nothing but praise, and he hates GM cars.
Yeah, no, we had Lee Keen doing some stuff on set with us, and he's a Porsche guy, lifer Porsche guy, and he was fucking mobbing.
Yeah.
And and he was extremely impressed. And I beat the piss out of that thing.
Yeah.
For a whole day.
And it doesn't care.
No, I mean, it has a lot of frontal area and a lot of really good airflow. We actually put it in a wind tunnel. It's got really good airflow.
Yeah.
And so it's with that big front air dam, that engine doesn't have a problem with the cooling.
It does
like
still
it did in the
feel a bit weighty. I mean, you can feel the
it's
weight,
heavy.
obviously.
Yeah, it's a heavy car.
I feel like weight reduction would help more than power, but I don't want to take out my
Totally.
luxuries,
Yeah, but dude, I just drove recently this dude's Z28 like race car. Like
a 5th gen?
Yeah, 5th gen Z28 race car. Like it was cool, but unless you are racing, leave your interior in.
Yeah. Well,
because that's all you have. I mean, you could switch the seats, but then after that, you're pulling off door cards, and then the thing.
But each
just
one of
tinny.
those seats is like 80 pounds. It's ridiculous.
Pretty heavy.
But it was nice at Button Willow. That it was a little warm in the afternoon. I had those vented seats on.
Cold seats
yeah,
are
it was
boss,
nice.
dude. Yeah. They are very, very nice.
Yeah.
I'd really have a hard time removing cooled seats in Southern California.
Yeah. Well, my 370Z has turned more into my race car, so that's the one I'm going after for that raw experience.
What was the problem now that feels slow?
Oh, it feels broken. it makes all this noise, doesn't go anywhere. It totally feels like limp mode to me.
Yeah.
So
the really big power GM stuff does kind of rearrange.
But
you.
I feel more confident in the Z than ever. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, when it kind of feels like shit happens in slow motion, you know.
It does.
I went
It
out
does.
in a ZR1 at Road Atlanta, which is a very
I
intense
saw that
experience. And then I went back out in the Grand Sport afterwards, which, you know, everyone would agree is a pretty quick car. And, you know, it was like a Miata or something.
Well, it was kind of fun watching the 19 ZR1 video you did, because I'm watching each lap, right? You're kind of like, okay, a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more comfortable, because that's kind of how I approached the ZL1. But I basically did 3 laps of Chuckwalla and then just said screw it, turned PTM off entirely, and didn't actually realize I turned it off. I thought I had put it into a different mode.
You got to check it if you're in a hurry sometimes.
Yeah, because it's kind of delayed or laggy when you push that button twice. So it wasn't until I realized, like, I'm getting a bit more sideways than I'm used to, that I realized it was off entirely. Then I left it off the rest of the day.
Oh, dude, the ZL1 is really nimble.
Yeah.
Like, you actually can drive it, like, assuming a dry surface, you can drive that thing pretty easily.
But the thing is, the computers, and that's where, like, cars and tech with me really kind of come together, is the computer systems in that car and the ELSD. So coming out of, button wheel of 13CW, right, the famous 13CW, coming out of bus stop, I went 2 wheels off on the right side, and that's where everyone comes across the track. But the ELSD shifted all that power to the inside and kept the car straight. A little bit of counter steer, a little bit of feedback.
You feel it doing a little shuffle back there?
Oh yeah, I felt the engine just kind of do that little rumble. You're right, and then the car just straightened out. But the thing is, the racing group.
The exact nature of that rumble is it spark kill? What is it? What exactly
I don't
causes it?
Yeah, it's a really interesting sound.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't a pucker moment, because see, I kind of thought like, yeah, I saved this as a good driver, and then I realized no, the ELSD saved me.
Yeah, the car held this one for me.
Yeah,
That's
but
okay.
we were having guys spin out on exit a bus stop all day long right there, and I actually
like
went
watching that corner.
I went two wheels off entirely on the right side, huge dust cloud, but did not come around the track. And at that point, I realized, okay, the ELSD actually does something.
Yeah, a lot of people sail off that corner. It's a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
Just because they're going fast and then they have to dive off for a second?
Yeah, you think you can take it flat, but like in most cars, you really can't.
Yeah.
You do. It's like, I took it fucking flat. It's like, well, you had 100 horsepower. I have 500 horsepower. Can't take it flat.
Well, that's a good lesson in like incrementally going faster. Like go hit it at 80, 82, 84 instead of going 80. Like I can just do it and you go flat.
But what
91.
a difference 2 miles per hour makes, right?
It can.
When you feel like you're at the limit already and you just do an extra 2 miles per hour, you feel like you're just about to send it off the track.
Yeah.
The momentum can change so much.
An extra half mile per hour average on track feels like light speed difference to me.
I think that's probably the difference between a first and a third or fourth place is a half mile an hour. I mean, there was the Michelin tire launch. They said it was a 1% improvement, the PS4S over the PSS, and they said, but that was enough to be the difference between first and 18th at Le Mans.
Yeah,
it was 1%. So, all right.
Yeah, spread out over enough time, of course.
Yeah. Have you been through a few sets of Trofeo Rs yet? Or what are they?
Those are the Supercar 3R.
Supercar 3. Oh, the Goodyears.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Those are the only good Goodyears.
And that's why I put them back on. So
you bought another set of them.
Well, I did, because you remember I was in a pinch before Buttonwillow. I had corded the inside of the fronts because we ended up doing a traditional toe out alignment, and that car with the Ackerman wants a toe in for the track setting.
Okay.
So we ended up being almost an inch out of toe out. It was ridiculous, like a ridiculous amount.
That sounds like a lot.
It was a lot. We didn't realize it until we looked at the tires of just how corded they were. But this was, of course, Friday night. I'm prepping the car, and we're driving up Saturday. And I'm going, crap. So I ended up having to throw on some of the RE71Rs, which is normally a pretty good tire, especially for the Z platform. It introduced a little bit of understeer, very manageable, but a little bit of understeer. And I was about 50% burned up on the supercars on the back. So I thought maybe these will match up, right? But we found out even the Goodyears half burned up had more grip than the RE71R, which is a cheater tire in most classes.
Yeah.
But the moment we got back, I pulled those off, ordered the new Goodyears, and I'm on a brand new set of Goodyears. But
how long did it take you to get them? Got them quick?
Overnight from Tire Rack.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, they stock them. That's nice. Sometimes with these unique specs, it's like going to be...
Goodyear, so one of my followers actually works for Goodyear, and he told me that they're going to be bringing out common sizes with that tire.
that'll be nice.
Yeah, and
it's a bitchin' tire. Like, I had the original F1 supercars, like the ones that were on my C5 Corvette.
I heard those
were
trash.
Trash!
Yeah.
And when we drove the ZL1 at VIR, we were both, Lee and I were like, wow, these are like Goodyears? Like, where do these guys come from? They're very good.
Are they cheaper than the PS4s?
They are.
How much are they? Do you mind?
So the entire set.
That's not the right tire. I didn't want to interrupt with that, but
yeah, that's the original supercar.
That's the old shitty one. It's
you have
the
to
one
look
for
up
the
the
ZL1.
Yeah, look up 3R. The entire set from Goodyear before shipping was $1,350.
That is cheap, especially
it was only about
305s all around.
305 in the front, 325 rear. So my
for under $1,500 for a set, that's the right one.
Yeah. No, that's Supercar 3. It needs the 3R. Yeah, so they've got a lot of similar name tires. Tire Rack has it.
There it is, the next one down. That's the one. Ah, yes.
Yep, there it is.
The most slick-like.
So it has
wow.
So DOT requires 330 seconds tread depth.
Yeah.
They have 430 seconds.
Perfect.
So
how many miles did the first set last you?
2,100 miles.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. But that's because you can't help but put your foot in it and play around with it, And of course, we sent the rear set off to burnout land when it was time to change them. So
yeah, and that's the same. That's like what you get at a Cup 2s out of the same shit. The ZR1 gets Cup 2s that are run flats, which I did not know.
Interesting.
And I didn't know until they told me. You couldn't tell by driving them. Pretty
interesting.
Cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently you can do the full, 55 miles an hour for 55 miles or whatever for.
That's amazing. That's great.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
The most amazing thing about ZR1 and your car is that there's basically.
Oh, that's my tire right there, the one that's all burned up.
In the middle, down?
Go down. There, that's mine.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah.
There's like no sacrifice really from a regular Camaro.
Yeah.
It's the same, it's kind of the same.
It's super drivable too. I mean, if you're just kind of cruising around, the thing is, no matter how easy you are on it though, it just drinks fuel. I mean, the consumable cost on that car is ridiculous.
Yeah, although the tires are a lot better than I expected. Wow, that gives hope.
Yeah, they're not that expensive.
That's hope. Yeah.
It's like $380 for the rears, and it was like $330 for the fronts.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I would expect it more.
Yep.
And the what do you have? Like you get like fucking 8 miles a gallon.
I have seen as high as like 14.
Solid.
But on the track, I get 4. So,
that's better than I would have expected.
Yeah.
For one session when Lee was doing stunt driving, he did 2.7.
So Button Willow 13 CW is what, 2.4 miles, something like that?
Sure, yeah. Sounds right.
So a 20-minute session will use a half a tank. And then, of course, when I looked at the PDR, the performance data recorder in the car, it said we did like 19 miles. So we can empty the tank in 40 miles.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Really
quick. Wow. So it's like, it costs me about, if I get gas at the track, it costs me about $70 a session to refuel. Wow. Because I use a half a tank. So it's expensive no matter what.
Yeah, of course. I was reading, Jack's review that you put up about the ZR1, and when they did the 24-hour test with it.
It annoys me how good he is.
He was like, they basically had to pull in every 25 minutes for tires and gas. And they ran that thing, and they ran for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So that's, 48 stops for filling and tires.
Yeah, dude,
crazy.
my fucking ZR1 one take was half a tank of fuel.
Oh, I believe it. That's a long track, too. You can stay in it for a long time.
They said at the Autobahn, it was 11 minutes. They did a tank of fuel.
Wow.
Awesome. I think the CTSV was the fastest for me.
See, the thing is, those metrics, whenever I read them in a magazine, I think they're kind of dumb when it's always like, the Veyron can drink a tank of fuel in 8 minutes. Yeah. It's like, okay, we can all just do math about consumables, but if you experience it, and if you experience the speed and how long you're carrying that speed, that's a different story.
If you've ever been in a race in a track car that in 20 minutes the fuel gauge went from full to a quarter, you know what I mean? You're shocked. You get off the track and go, where did all the fuel go? You're like, I just put it in right now.
Even see, I don't daily the ZR1. I'm fighting dailying it because I enjoy driving it so much, but I don't really want to rack the miles up. I want to enjoy each mile I put on the car. But it's one of those things where I've made conscious efforts to just cruise, go due to the 1 to 4 shift. Just do all the things it wants me to do to be. I've even driven around in the wet or the ice mode. So it's super
the wet. It dumbs the throttle down.
Right.
It was nice, actually.
So turn off the auto rev match, and it goes from 12 to 14.
Yeah.
And I've heard the auto guys with the A10s can get over 20, but they go into that V4 mode, the Eco mode, which the 6-speed doesn't have.
You don't get in the manuals.
Yeah. So I've gotten to the point where if I'm driving this thing like a grandpa, or I'm driving it like it's meant to be driven, I'm talking 2 miles per gallon, I'm just going to drive it the way it's
who gives a shit? Yeah.
So... yeah, I mean, it's not cheap.
You work too hard to worry about tanks of gas.
And when I want it to feel fast again, I drive my Silverado for a week and then get in that car, and it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, you can ride my scooter around a little bit, and then fuck.
Yeah, no kidding.
I like how it feels like it pulls harder in fourth than it does in second. That's one of my favorite things about that car.
First and second in that car, the torque is limited.
That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
It does pull harder.
But when you get a tune, that's one of the first things people pull off.
And it just does huge burnouts.
Right, but then people start going through U-joints and axles, and
because they limit the torque in the ZR1 in the manual also.
Yeah,
for the same reason.
For that reason.
Yeah.
A lot of times when they do that, and people are like, "Nah, you can't limit my shit," and you go,
But
that's why.
But I look at it this way: I have no traction in that gear anyway. So
Yeah.
what am I really gaining by doing that?
And you're not drag racing, are you?
No, it's all road racing.
Yeah, so who cares?
So that's why the OEM twin disc is more than enough. And so Cunningham Motorsports in Marietta is who's going to be doing my car. And
I know Ryan. He's chill as fuck.
I love Ryan because he'll listen to what you want and he'll give you realistic expectations.
Yeah.
And so we just did CamaroCon this week and we were talking with him and it's like
I would love to hear about CamaroCon.
that was a trip. That was a trip.
I'm gonna write that down. We'll get
yes.
back to that. Let's
Okay.
talk about Ryan Cunningham and what you're doing with this thing.
No, so I've been going back and forth with them for about a month now on some expectations on the car, and I'm at this crossroads of deciding if I want to go with flex fuel, because the car doesn't gain.
What's the downside, really?
The fact that I'll probably be using it all the time and burning up that much more fuel, I guess.
Oh,
but
yeah.
because my concern is for road racing and time attack is I'm using a half a tank now in 91, which
Yeah,
uses a
you
bit
might
more
not
than like.
finish a session on the 85.
That's my legitimate concern.
Yeah.
And E85 is unavailable at the track, so I'll have to have someone in my Silverado bringing jugs.
No, that's
Not worth
you
it.
know,
Really not
Every
worth it.
time we have filmed a tuner car with the 85, we've had to bring extra.
Right, it's
and
never
we've
enough.
always, every time,
Run out.
almost run out.
Yeah.
And had a panic of like, all right, shut it off.
See, Chuck Walla is one of my favorite tracks because you can get 91, 93, 96, 100, and 110 there. Right? They have a VP fuel tank there, all the fuels you want. You go to Buttonwillow, you get 91, 100, and 101. It's like, what happened to the 93, 96? Because
Yeah.
I can just.
Well, you can go into town.
Yeah, but who wants to drive 10? You spend your whole downtime just getting fuel and driving back.
I know.
So it's frustrating, but so we've talked about doing a 100 octane tune. We've talked about doing flex fuel. The flex fuel, it just needs a low side fuel delivery to make it work, and then the mixture meter.
Yeah, and can't you?
It's
you can,
1500.
you can get it and just use it like
When I
once
want
in
it.
a while. Yeah, I mean, there's no downside other than the one-time cost.
It's $1,500, and then
fuck it,
Do you
get
not
it.
have to change any fuel rails or anything like that? like you
it
do
needs
some
a
other
low
cars?
side fuel delivery.
Okay.
So there's some things that need to be changed, but it's $1,500, and it's not a big
And
deal.
it's a problem
Yeah.
it's a solved problem. Like,
Right.
there's no new ground.
See, I look at
being
it this way.
broken
One of
there.
the things Ryan told me is like, we can do a 100 octane tune if you want. He's like, but then we got to do a quick disconnect over here on the fuel rail, run a line. So what he basically
Really?
what he suggests.
Why do you have to do all that shit to run a 100 tune?
Well, if I'm going to have a pure 100 mix, if I've got any 91 left in the tank.
Oh, a pure. Oh, so yeah, okay. So I have a 100 tune on my car, but it's not a real 100 tune because
Okay.
they know I'm not gonna run it dry.
Right.
So it's really like a 98 tune,
Which I would be fine with even like
which
a
is
96.
cool. And they're pretty much like, look, get the car down to like under a quarter
Yeah.
and fill it with 100, and
It's
you're
not
good.
hard in this car to get under a quarter, right? So I would be fine with that. But he basically gave me the option. He's like, look, it's a fitting, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking about here with a quick disconnect, one-way check, ball check valve. You hook a tube up to it, and when you turn on the bypass mode, it will just turn on the prime, and then he'll force the prime to stay on, so I could pump all the fuel out of
Oh.
the tank. Which is like, okay, we're talking fittings here. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a lot of little things like this to just give me options with the car, because I mean we're talking a lot of money here. We're talking 10 grand. So it's like I don't really want to do something and then wish I had done something else.
Are you worried about? Here's what I would be potentially concerned.
Okay.
You have a reasonably expensive car. It's already very, very fast.
Right.
What could happen to your warranty if something bad happens? I mean, it's not.
I'm the warranty at that
You're
point.
the warranty at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Is that a concern? I mean, your car's already real fast.
a little bit. I mean,
Like
it's a little
how
bit
much
of a
speed
concern.
how much speed are you hoping to gain, or like how many seconds off, a lap time are you hoping for the higher octane tunes? Like, do you have a number, or you just want more, and this is
So
one way to get it?
right now with 91, the car is already pulling 6 degrees of timing. So already I need a higher octane tune just to get the car's full potential. When I went to Chuck Walla, the car had rolled over 1,400 miles when I was there. I broke it in at the track, the full 1,500 based on the warranty, right? I put 96 in the car, and it drove like I had never felt because the car automatically realized, like, hey, we can advance our timing. We don't have any knock. And that's when I realized what 91 was actually doing to that car. So that's why I want to be able to take advantage of the higher octane to really get the full effects of the LT4. And
Yeah, the GM guys, whenever I talk about being from California and shit, they're always
like,
kind of
"Oh,
like,
yeah."
"Oh, you fucking California," because
Yeah.
they're just like, your gas just sucks. Your gas is so
special
bad.
mixture.
So on the Camaro 6 forums, there's some GM guys there that are part of this, the sixth gen team, specifically with the ZL1, and they basically said the car's best performance is had at 93. It wants 93.
Fair. Yeah.
But when Ryan told me it's pulling 6 degrees of timing with the factory tune 91, I'm like, shit. There's a lot. There's a lot left in it.
What is it pulling at 93 on 93? Do you know?
I don't know. He didn't mention. But when I told him I had a 96 available on some tracks, he's like, oh, well, then you're good.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. I like Ryan a lot. He had trophies at every shift sector for NA, fastest NA. He has a vet.
I've heard he's a master tuner, man.
Yeah, he's got a fucking vet that's obviously NA.
Yeah.
That was running, I want to say 175.
Wow. Whoa.
Which, by the way, is like Porsche 918 numbers. It was a fucking animal.
It's a lot of power for NA motor too.
Yeah, and I consulted with him before selling my Corvette when it was like, you know.
And he mentioned that Corvette to me when we were talking. He talked about a lot about
his runway vet. Yeah. His runway vet is batshit. And if you want to look him up, Ryan, it's RYNE.
Right.
It's not Ryan.
It looks like Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. RYNE Cunningham, and he's like the vet guy in LA.
Yep.
I think there's another vet guy in LA too. Who's the other vet guy out east?
I'm just now getting back into GMs.
That's the one. It's not a C5. It's a C6. That's the shift sector car.
The silver
and it
one.
Doesn't even fucking look like much.
Yep.
Just the Z06.
Built well.
But it's. I mean, I think it's like 800 horsepower or something. It fucking mobs.
I love the Mohawk on that intake.
Is that not someone standing behind?
Nope.
That's a Mohawk.
Yeah. It's like what bikers put on their helmet. Yeah.
I mean, it's NA, but it's a very
And
what's the word I'm looking for? It's a pretty busy NA. You know, it's not just like, it's all under the hood. You can't even tell. Like, it's a sleeper until you walk around the front of it.
Yeah. It's not a sleeper. It's fucking, you can hear it 3.5 miles away.
So, but you talk about warranty. It's because of who's working on the car. They're a little more comfortable with the tune.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But, you're talking about road racing in California in the summer, big heats, and I know ethanol runs colder, but it's like, you're doing the conditions that are going to stress the car.
And that's why cooling's a huge factor in the Stage 2 stuff, too. We put in the larger CTSV intercoolers, which actually are
does the CTSV get larger intercoolers than the ZL1?
They have a larger intercooler. Basically, when I got the estimate from them, it's actually listed as a CTSV cooler.
Why does the CTSV get larger intercoolers than the ZL1? I wonder if that's packaging issues or cost.
See, I thought we'd be going with something like Weapon X or something like that. No, that's straight up their CTSV.
You know what? A lot of these guys, and I learned this with my Mustang, they fucking when any opportunity they have to just buy a better version of the part from the OEM, they take it.
Yeah.
This dude who tunes my Mustang down in Huntington Beach, Powertrain Dynamics, he literally doesn't have email or voicemail. You have to call and get him on the fucking phone. It's like a shed. It's like foolish. And he can build like a 400 wheel horsepower old school 302 using only shit from other Fords. It's like awesome, you know what I mean? And so I've had problems with my car, and he's just like pulled off some fucking aftermarket part and put on something from the Cobra, and that's it. It works. And so like I'm not surprised Ryan's like, this one's bigger, just use this. Like totally I'm just wondering if it's a packaging or a cost thing that makes the CTSV one better.
Or whichever OEM was offering up a better deal at the time that they were sourcing parts.
That's a good point. True.
So,
like if they developed a part.
What else comes in that? I'm sorry.
If they developed the CTSV part during the racing program for CTSV, maybe that trickled down, and Corvette was doing something else at the time.
Right. Because they just took, actually, there's better cooling on the Z01 than the Z06 had.
Oh, totally.
Even with the superchargers. So
they have 10 heat exchangers.
11.
Right?
ZR1's got 14, son.
If you count the 2 bricks that are in the supercharger itself, it's 11.
Okay.
There's 9 external from the engine.
Yeah. Okay, I'll count those. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a bunch. It works though. Are you so what else you get in stage 2? You get intercoolers?
Well, it's intercoolers, thermostat, belt, plugs, lower pulley. A lot of people like to do the upper pulley. They go with the lower pulley.
The crankshaft pulley?
No, on the supercharger pulley. So it's the actual lower pulley. So it's
does it have its own belt?
Yeah, no, it's part of the serpentine. But there's a pulley underneath it before it goes up to the main Eaton pulley and then back around. So they go with the lower pulley. They found, and I asked them why everyone else does upper and they do lower. One, you have to pull the supercharger off and press it on. It's a press fit pulley. And 2, he said they end up finding there's less slippage by doing that because it's a larger pulley overall. So
that makes
so you
sense.
have more friction on that wheel than the tiny
Instead
little
of
2-inch
the tiny
pulley.
little one. Oh,
right.
Why did it take the people so long to figure that out? That's in hindsight, that makes so much sense.
And then it's American Racing long tube headers. and then like I said, the cam. So it's Ryan's
cam,
own
too.
custom grind on the cam, and it's a custom grind based on the overall effects of what we want. So that's why we talked about pushing the power on the upper RPM, so it'll be a custom grind for that.
How much torque do you have to give up for that? I mean, it's already so
he
much.
showed
What's
me the
difference?
curves. We actually don't give up any. We actually have more torque down low than we do now, but the curve is much more linear versus now, which is just like a cliff, right? It's just flat.
Yeah,
so we're
yeah.
actually gaining a lot more usable torque down low because it comes on more smooth rather than
Instead
just a
of
hit.
the whoop, you know,
Right.
yeah.
Which I'm perfectly fine with because I've experienced, like I said, corner exit on that car. You've just got to roll into it. Otherwise, if I come off the Z, I'm just mashing it everywhere, right?
That's why in the rain that wet mode is so good because it dumbs down that throttle, and that sounds like something you don't want until all of a sudden you fucking want it.
Yeah.
Are you doing any suspension or anything to it?
Multimatic spool valves, nothing to touch. It's already all solid joints. The only thing I would like to do actually is I would like to get the adjustable toe and camber arms for the rear because they use torque to yield bolts, which every time you do a proper alignment, you have to replace the bolts because once you torque them and then yield them,
That's the end.
they're no good to use them again. So I would really like to get something that's like maybe a titanium arm like SPL or something, have them make something. That way we can just do our street. and
Nobody
track alignment.
makes. No one already has a solution for that.
So I know I've seen some for like the 2SS and stuff, and I
Uh-huh.
think they're the same rear geometry. I honestly don't know, but it doesn't seem to be something that's really common yet. So
Yeah, wait 6 months.
yeah,
Someone will be doing it. I mean, if they don't do it for the ZL1 1LE, they'll do it for the SS 1LE, and it'll probably.
I've actually been tracking the car with the factory road rear alignment, and then going with their actually race specs for the front. And we've actually found that we're not rolling over on the shoulder of the rear of the tire, and the wear has been even. So we'd rather keep that acceleration traction than dealing with that.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's only negative 0.5 in the rear, but it's actually been fine.
Okay. I mean, if you can get away with not running the race alignment, I mean, if that's probably
In the rear,
better
yeah.
for your longevity too.
Well, for the rear, yeah, especially we'd much rather have the grip for acceleration than riding on that edge of the tire.
Yeah.
And you're driving it to the track, or you trailer it?
I've driven it so far everywhere it's gone.
Okay.
We drove it to Chuckwalla. We drove it to Buttonwillow.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
comfy fucking car to drive. It's not
Yeah.
so. It's not so
I mean,
bad.
I have
Although you're pretty tall.
Yeah, that car is extremely comfortable for me. Those Recaros are really nice. I feel like the seat sits a little bit high.
It does
But-
sit a little bit high.
But, I mean, it's been comfortable on long drives. Like my Z, as we speak right now, it's in Downey getting custom-made brackets for my Sparko because I'm so tall. We've got to have custom brackets
Right.
made to get the seat low and rear.
I had
And-
to do that with my Corvette too. It was a huge pain in the dick.
Well, what made it hard was the roll cage. The roll cage made it even
yeah.
harder. The guys our size, you know the pain, right? You get in there and you're like, there's suddenly a lot less room when you're dealing with just a little bit of cage.
Yeah,
Suddenly
yeah.
they got really cramped.
A lot of track days spent like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just drove one of those cross cart things, which was like, you know, all cage. It was fucking
Right.
crazy. CamaroCon. I need to hear about CamaroCon. We had Tim pull up the hashtag 1,400 posts about CamaroCon.
So
Is there a better hashtag than that? Is that
CamaroCon
that's
2018.
2018? Maybe throw in the 2018.
So that gentleman right there, his name's Matt Everett. He actually was a contact of mine in the tech industry when he worked at EA. And so I knew him prior to even getting my Camaro. And then we were just more or less acquaintances and worked kind of, here and there, like the Star Wars launch and stuff like that. But I kind of forgot that he even had like a Pro-Charged 2SS until I ended up getting the car and then talking with him. You'll probably find pictures of my car in there too.
I think I know those guys on the left. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So there's that wide body Camaro that's corn-fed Camaro. But anyway,
I saw that. Yeah,
that one right there.
That is very wide.
it is.
Does
It was a
does that
SEMA
work?
build.
That doesn't look like those wheels can turn.
Looks like Liberty Walkish.
Well,
it's on airbags.
If you look carefully too, his front canards are pushing air into the fender, so that's kind of counterintuitive. But anyway,
you know what this looks like? Remember Spaceballs?
oh yeah.
He looks like the guy who's like, and pizza
Yep.
is gonna send out for you.
That's actually my car right there.
Hiding in the back.
So last year they had 500 cars.
Yeah.
And they were hoping to beat that. The latest estimate, based on counting by their drone flyover, was there was more than 900 that showed up.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is
It's
a
a
lot.
lot of fucking Camaros.
That
wow.
is a ton.
And that
What's
was
amazing
so
is how
this-
much that aerial photograph looks like a lot full of Camaros. Like I don't know why.
So this was at the promenade in Temecula,
Uh-huh.
and this was just the official roped off area. The amount of overflow parking, it just dominated the mall.
crazy.
What was a little disappointing though is I was hoping to see more like first, second, and third gens.
Was it all 5th gens and 6th gens?
Mostly,
It looks like a bunch of new cars.
Mostly there was I would say less than 10 first gens, maybe even
at
less.
a Camaro con.
Even I would
Oh
say
my
there was
God.
even less second gen. And then I think there was a whopping 6 or 7 third gens.
Bro,
I
if
saw
you have an IROC right now, bring
Yeah.
it out. Let us see it.
my favorite car
Jesus
here.
Christ, look at that.
And I hope they have a picture of it. My favorite car here was a 100% original, all matching parts, original paint, 88 IROC.
Is it red?
It was red. And he was it's an older gentleman. He used
Yep.
to work for GM. He said he worked for GM for 30
Older
years.
black guy?
No, this was
Oh.
a
Wait,
a
tell
larger
me
white
it
guy
had,
with a mustache.
Tell me it had like gold wheels.
No.
Okay, no, because there's a
No.
guy in my neighborhood with a perfect IROC.
So
and with
this
gold wheels on it.
So this guy has stock the factory injector still in this 88. And he has been driving it for 30 years.
I know that car.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Whose car is that? We've seen that car, Zach. Who is that?
It kind of looks like Mary Posey's.
It looks
but
like
it's
Mary
different.
Posey's,
Hers
right?
is orange.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
But it's similar.
Dope.
Yeah.
Pro Touring 2nd gen Camaros.
They had the IROC concept out here too. The one that was built for SEMA.
Oh, really?
1,000 horsepower or whatever. It was out there.
Fucking cool. I wanted to drive that Detroit Speed one they built. It looks really nice. You know, did you see that with the blue one that Detroit Speed built?
It was there. It was next
it?
to me. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that car. I saw that car, like, crashed and caved in and covered in leaves behind their shed like a year ago.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it
That's
was impressive.
amazing.
Yeah, like it was so crashed.
That build overall in the end was really impressive.
Detroit Speed shit, dude. Those cars go so. I mean, they didn't pay me or anything to say this shit. Their cars are so fucking nasty. Remember that C3 I drove, like C3 Vet with like 700 horsepower and the fucking Jericho? It was rock.
Oh, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
When it comes to like chassis tuning of older stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
So, all right, so it looks like a big Camaro show, but was there the con portion of it?
Yeah, so there was they did the obligatory rev competition, the dyno competition. They
Is
had
there
the
a
show
dyno
and
off?
shine.
What was the winner of the dyno off? Something very impressive.
It was 840 wheel. I kind of thought someone would have had more,
Me too.
but
It's a little disappointing.
it was a bit
for
warmer in the
Camaro
afternoon
con.
than expected. And then I guess something was going. It was a trailer dyno, obviously. I guess something wasn't going right with it, and the car that ended up getting 840 was overheating when it did that pull because it did 4 back-to-back pulls, and then so I thought we'd see something over 1,000, but
Me too.
the thing was you had to buy tickets to the dyno competition. So
Oh.
I think only certain people really kind of like, I didn't bother. I mean,
Yeah.
my car, I know it would have been in the upper 5s, nothing super impressive,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Right, what's the
No,
point?
but if you're pushing, if there's people out there that are rocking 1,000 horsepowers and then not fucking stepping up to the dyno trailer, like, come on,
Yeah.
see it,
Yeah.
pussies.
Did they burn a Mustang in effigy?
The hilarious part was there was a lot of Mustangs that just kind of drove around the perimeter like revving and doing little burnouts
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God, really?
Well, because
So stupid.
because it was
Oh
inside
my
the outer
God.
ring to the mall. So regular people attending the mall on a Saturday were like, "What's this?" We even had one guy in a Infiniti FX with straight pipe revving at everybody. It's like,
I think I
okay,
did a one take with that guy.
okay,
Okay. So some of the Mustangs were probably going to the mall, but some of them were probably like, I've got to keep an eye on these guys. You know, they're
Pretty
gathering.
much.
What are they up to?
We
Gotta
had
report back.
one guy in an orange Hellcat just come and park in the middle of the general parking for the Camaro Con thing. It was
Fuck y'all, I'm parking here. I saw a guy in a
man.
purple Hellcat getting pulled over and like right near my house today.
Makes sense. That's an easy thing to do.
So were there dyno competition? Anything else? Anything crazy, silly?
No, just lots of vendors there. I mean, Cunningham was there, Fast Tech was there, Borla, a lot of like cleaning companies, sprays and stuff like that. But it was
They need
it
to
was
get a little
pretty
more
fun.
con in this con.
But this was only the second annual, and it's put on by one guy. So given the fact that they ended up getting way more attendees than they expect.
Yeah.
In fact, the mall was not too pleased with how much they overflowed. But it's looking like next year it's I told him, I said, you need to get more people involved in this because it's growing at a rate that like one guy
900
can't.
cars.
That's a
You
lot.
need more than one.
Yeah.
More than one person to run this thing.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if
also
conferences like
some
this
IROCs.
started like being hosted at tracks. You know, like Fontana or somewhere you could have quarter-mile stuff, road course. You know, there's just more stuff going on than
like
just
all the fest
park.
events that go to
Right.
ACS.
Well,
Totally.
we did the Hooptycon, which was at Sonoma, which was a combination. There was a lemons race, and there was a radwood, and then there was also a billet proof, which was like the anti-chrome hot rodding thing, and then there was one other thing. There was a a cooking with your car challenge.
Really, to like use the heat of your car to cook
Either
something?
the heat or one person used the rotation of the car.
Okay.
And someone hooked up something called an extruder to their engine block, like a fucking Roots style supercharger.
Okay.
And an extruder is something that makes cheesy poofs, like puffed
Right.
puffed corn, and you bake this, I don't know, puffed corn and shit mix, and you pour it in, and you fired up this fucking T-bird, and this thing's going probably 300% the speed it's supposed to be going, and it's like, will it completely explode and tear our faces off? And they start pouring this shit in, and like Cheetos start firing out of it.
No way.
Yeah, it's
That's
fucking crazy.
amazing.
There's Tim it's on my Instagram. I have a video of it.
That's
If you gotta,
super cool.
You got to scroll back to a ways, but it's there if you go to like
Down to Hooptycon.
down to the Hooptycon.
So I mean, I think
retarded.
Camaro Fest would have been a more appropriate name,
Yeah.
but there already is a Camaro
There's-
Fest.
Oh, is it related to LS Fest?
I don't think it's the same.
That no one owns a Dash Fest?
I don't know.
Oh,
It
wait, here,
seems
wait,
like
go back
Miracon.
up. Go up there. One more up, Tim, on the right. This guy.
Wow.
Here's a video. Okay, play this. Do we have sound? This fucking here what we're looking at here is a T-bird.
Oh, we got the
sorry,
echo
the echo.
from YouTube.
I think I can fix it.
Wait, hold on. I apologize. Oops, still a slight echo. Just play it, and
it's very spacious.
I know. Just play it. Sorry.
Oh my God! Look how
So-
fast that's
looks so
spinning.
dangerous.
And watch how fast they do this. Ready?
The big wheels all out of balance.
Sounds like the engine's knocking like a motherfucker too, doesn't it? Look, it's just firing out Cheetos.
So it's almost like a pasta press that's attached
And he's
to
using
a wheel
chopsticks to
that's
grab 'em?
attached to an engine. Yeah. Yeah, it's like shooting out funnel cake, but it's made out of Cheeto powder.
Yeah.
It does sound like a
So
lawnmower.
Did you eat it?
Yes.
Did it taste like a Cheeto?
And 10W40.
Look how
Really?
All right, kill that.
that wheel's so out of balance.
We have to figure out how to get rid of that echo. I'm sorry, audience, but that's fucking crazy, right? Look at that thing.
Wow.
That's fucking nuts, and it's just like thunk, 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 pumping out Cheetos. So yes, and then another guy cooked bacon on his header. Like we're on a car that had just finished a lemons race,
Ooh.
like 20 minutes before.
Gross.
It was like oil.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna
tried
taste
that
like
too.
oil.
I tried it too. That's the guy. He made some bacon on his header, and that's the car with the googly, fucking googly
Definitely not going
eyes.
to taste very good.
That's a BMW 4-liter V8 BLT.
What event was
Ooh.
this?
24 hours of lemons.
Oh, okay.
It was
The
Hooptycon.
Hooptycon. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot of con in the Hooptycon.
I could see that.
You
yeah.
guys should cook horse steaks on the engine blocks.
Man.
Just because there's the Ford and Chevy camp. I'm not saying you're in that camp, but the squad of people that are just like, I'm just diehard this or diehard that, and you could just.
I'm usually
take some
anti
piss out.
that camp.
Yeah, because it's stupid.
Yeah.
Brand
Yeah.
loyalty is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's good stuff and bad stuff on both sides.
I actually would have people think I don't like Camaros, which is not true. I didn't like the 5th gen SS.
I watched your one take on the ZL1. I had just bought it.
I liked it.
No. But the thing was, of course, when I bought the car, I get a million texts. Hey, did you see the one take? Did you see the one take? Or Matt should do a one take. I'm like, guys, he's already done it, right? There's nothing different with my car other than a little bit more power. But
When it goes stage 2.
But every complaint you had was completely valid as somebody who's driven that car for 3,000
Thank
miles
you.
now. The clutch is a little weird where it disengages. The ride's a bit rough, obviously,
The
for the
ride
road.
is a bit rough,
I don't
yeah.
mind the wants to kill my kidneys because I'm that much of an enthusiast, especially for track cars. Like I'm okay with the roughness.
Yeah, that's
the
what it's for.
visibility sucks, and the car feels big.
Those are the things.
The
yeah.
GT350R was a very close second for me in terms of trying to decide which car I wanted.
Yeah.
The GT350R felt a hell of a lot smaller.
It does.
As a whole. Like you felt like you were wrapped around the car nice and tight. The Camaro feels like I'm out there in a 57 Cadillac.
Yeah, it's a big car.
And it doesn't get smaller when you drive it. The faster you go, it still feels like you're going really fast in this big ass thing.
The Hellcat, the Hellcat's like that too.
So ultimately what it came down to for me was, because I talked to a lot of guys, and I was at ACS the day before I bought the car. I went right over to the Mustang guys and was talking to them. Hey, what do you like? What do you dislike? And one of the things was they said, well, I wish we had a little bit more power compared to the ZL1 guys, because I told them I was considering a ZL1 1LE. And it was one of those things for me. I had always been a bit of a fan of the Camaro. My first sports car was an 89 RS. That got totaled. I got rear-ended at a red light 2 months after I got it. Replaced it with a 92 Z28. And so I just ended up going full circle.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I could take the best of both of those cars and make one car out of it, it would be literally like the best car ever.
You can, you can tweak yours how you like it too. I mean, it's not sacred.
But the Mustang doesn't feel long, like really long, like the Camaro
The Mustang shrunk around me at the racetrack nicely.
Yeah.
I really liked how you could point it. I liked that it felt big when I put it in my garage.
I wish you'd experienced it at a dry VIR. Because the Camaro. But
I did. It got dry by the end of the day. It was
but the
fully
concrete
dry.
was probably still holding a lot of moisture, don't you think?
I mean, look, it didn't matter. I wasn't running a stopwatch. I was making a TV show. So I had a great fucking time. The car was really fast. It was very nice and easy to slide. I did some really, really nice, smooth, easy, nothing slides. They were just nice big sweeps. And in the wet, I went out with Lee, him driving me as a passenger in the wet, and he scared the shit out of me.
I bet, yeah.
And he was completely calm and fine, and I was like, dude, not cool. This is not good. Yeah. There's a lot of walls here that I've never seen before until right now, and
he's finding the threshold,
and
right?
He was
like
finding,
heavy braking.
he was finding the limit, and I find the limit by approaching it. He finds the limit by fucking sailing over it and then going, it was back there somewhere.
I'll go get it.
and see, I'm riding in shotgun in my own car with a pro driver driving mine, which is a little bit more scary because I'm like, I got more to lose. This guy fucks up. He walks away. I'm over here now with the bill, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, one of the things that suck about the Camaro, and I know you'll attest to this, is there was nothing to hang on to in the passenger seat of that car.
No, there isn't.
There is no oh shit handle. There's nothing in the door. You basically, I sat on my hands, scooped the seat forward, and wedged my feet against the firewall because the braking in that car too.
That's funny.
Will send you out of your seat.
It's totally true. And I had to make a point though. For me, you don't. As a passenger with a racing driver, you don't grab shit. You stay calm. You fucking hold your hands like this.
But you can't help the G's are throwing you around, you know?
You can't, but you have
around.
to. You have to. You resist, you stay calm. Hey,
like
man.
I said,
I think you can I think you can grab stuff calmly. You just like, I just don't want to move around too much.
I think there wasn't a here.
No,
there's a handle.
there isn't.
There's not a handle here.
No.
I mean,
I just use the lock mechanism on the seatbelt. You know, you pull it all the way out, and then you can tighten it up, and it locks. I just cinched that thing as tight as I could, and I just sat on my hands and wedged my feet.
Yeah, that works too. Lee scared me. He did.
Yeah,
and he was all in the wet. He's like, this thing's fucking sketchy, you know. But he's not slowing down. And you go,
oh, that's what you want to hear when you're already freaked out.
This is the guy who fucking passed like 35 people around the Nürburgring in the wet.
In the rain,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
drifting in the rain. So he's
fine.
real good at sliding cars.
But when he's like, oh, that was a fucking close one, you're like, all right, dude. Now's the time. Get involved with the show. If you have questions for Jay about anything or me or about anything, hit us up in the super chat on YouTube. A couple people. Is that Freddie?
Yep.
Freddie.
Yep.
Thank you. That's whatever. I can't read what you wrote, but I really appreciate that you paid money to
awesome
say
job. Keep it up. He'd love to race Jay in his piece of junk someday.
Oh, with his your piece of junk.
In his cheap Lambo that he's building.
I'm gonna go. If that thing ever runs properly, I made a promise that I would go to Florida and drive it.
The problem
is
his car's in Florida and mine's in California. They can't get farther apart.
I know.
You know what I mean?
The only way is to enter Rob Ferretti's YouTuber challenge.
Yeah. That would be a very good test of that Lambo because obviously in a straight line it should be very, very fast.
Yeah.
But how's it going to hold up to like lap time and the heat?
Or just the abuse, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't. Have you seen videos of it running? Does it run yet?
I saw a video of it started on
it runs, right?
Instagram, yeah.
Okay.
That car was a fire, right? There wasn't it a fire salvage?
I think he bought it thinking like one thing was fucked, and it turned out 36 things were fucked. Yeah, fire and clutch, and to his credit, I was like, I can't believe you're gonna take on a clutch in a Gallardo in your garage, and he was like, well. And he fucking did it.
He did it. Yeah. And then he built the turbo set and everything. I mean, it's crazy. It's cool.
Freddie is a boss and has an open invite anytime he's in Los Angeles. And yes, when that car is done, Sony will ask me. Yes, I will go. I will go to fucking Florida. even though Florida's a shithole.
Last time,
And the people are crazy.
The people are fucking nuts. There's no laws there. Nothing matters in Florida. Everything is legal and nobody cares. It's
a
like
friend of mine sent me a picture of Frosted Flakes and Lucky Charms have joined together. They're in one box now.
Frosted Charms
Basically.
or Lucky Flakes. What if they called it?
I don't know. I think it was
Can't
like
believe I
this.
didn't stumble on that.
This now with this, and I was like, oh, that's like if Russia and Florida just joined forces. It's just like
That's,
two of the craziest things together, like now in one package.
It sounds to me like we need to get some marshmallows and some butter and make some fucking Rice Krispies out of it. Rice Krispie treats out of that shit.
Extra crunchy,
Because you can make a Rice Krispie treat out of any delicious cereal.
of course.
Including
It's just
Cinnamon
glue
Toast
and crunch.
They've just
melted
They
marshmallow.
get
right?
co-top billing.
Lucky Charms Frosted. Oh, they didn't even get creative with the name.
They were like, guys, the Avengers is so popular, we need to do crossover fantasy
Indeed.
character movies.
I bet that makes some good ice cream too with that cereal milk, like we were talking
Oh,
the
I
other
bet
day.
it does. Yeah, we've been watching a lot of David Chang, so it's all about the
Oh, yeah,
cereal
okay.
milk right now. We got to go to his new restaurant in L.A., Majordomo, which you can only make a reservation at up until 6 p.m. Then they close the desk.
That sounds
Oh, a lot of
really
places
fancy.
do that.
Like too fancy for me.
No, I don't think it's that fancy. I don't think David Chang does fancy, but I think it's
A lot
just
of places
fucking
stop taking
impossible to get.
reses after like 5 because
Yeah.
they're like, whatever. You
They're
should have
like, we
called
got
ahead.
people to serve.
Yeah.
We're fucking busy.
Fruit Loops with marshmallows.
Whoa, what other crossovers are happening right now? Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Shredded wheat with Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Fuck! General Mills killing the game right now.
Batman versus Superman.
What else is out there?
Chocolate
Weed gets
Frosted
legal in
Flakes.
California, and now you get stuff like this.
Bro,
Great point.
bro, this is
Great
Girl Scout
point.
Cookies X Haze at number 5. Wow, Cinnamon Toast Crunch flavored shredded wheat. My prayers have been fucking answered. That is incredible.
You know, they went, how do we get more people to actually eat this shit? And they go, well, we put
Start
cinnamon on
mixing
it.
them.
Pizza Hut's going to start putting cookie dough in their pizza dough, like in the crust.
Somebody was sitting at a KFC / Taco Bell and went, here's how we're going to do it. And they saw a kid walk up to the soda machine and go right down the line and went, aha! That's it. Okay, so we got Lucky Charms Frosted Flakes. Anybody see anything else in there? So,
Fruit Loops with marshmallows.
Fruit Loops
Yep.
marshmallows and Cinnamon Toast Crunch shredded wheat. I see 2 different shredded wheat boxes right there. Go down. What's that in the middle right there? What's that? Those 2 different kinds?
Oh, it's a chocolate. Peanut butter and
butter.
chocolate.
Chocolate.
Hell yeah.
Blasted shreds.
Bro.
That sounds like a gym term.
Yeah. They took shredded wheat and then they made it, aggressive and stoned.
Finally, they have stopped drug testing at General Mills.
And now they have the
and
and
here's
then
the
they have a
marsh-
product like this.
There it is. That's the Rice Krispie treat made of the fucking goods.
Yep.
Boom.
Honey, if you're
Ridiculous.
listening, I'm making dessert tonight. Fuck yeah. I'm really stopping at the grocery store on the way home buying that shit. Thank you. Thank you. What else is happening, Jay? What's happening in like the do you want to talk about work? Do you want to talk about cars?
I don't really care. I mean, tech's kind of slow right now.
Is it?
Yeah, well, the Computex is next month, which is like for computer stuff. It's kind of like the CES, but the computer nerds care about Computex because that's graphics cards, CPUs, stuff
Right.
like that. But we've been kind of like in a stagnant market now for like the better part of a year.
Really?
I think AMD came out with some new stuff that competed with Intel. Intel kind of like blew their wad early and pulled in their roadmap to try and compete. And since then, now no one's really had anything other than AMD just did like a little refresh of their CPUs. But NVIDIA has got no new GPUs yet to really talk about. So everything's just kind of like in this holding pattern.
Slow news week.
Slow news like year so
Year.
far for 2018.
And
Yeah.
Apple has nothing to fucking talk about either. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
I guess the X is pretty cool. I've seen a couple pictures like well blown up taken on the X, and that camera's pretty goddamn nice.
Yeah, but then now there's rumors that they're not going to be continuing the X. Like,
Yeah.
they'll kind of take an older model and make it the cheaper version. They're
Right.
supposed to just cut production on that entirely.
Oh, really? Is
That's-
they're
that's
losing
what we've
money
heard.
on? Is it a loss leader or something?
Well, something to do with one of their partners on parts that they get for the X is talked about like less than projected sales for their components, and so they've had investors kind of pull out and stuff. So it's
okay.
looking like Apple may have to just kind of follow suit based
That
on
sucks.
parts that they're getting from
Supply
vendors.
chain problem.
What
Right.
do you think about the rumor? I hate to bring you in an Apple conversation, but we're an Apple family here. I hate to say it.
I
We're
got an iPhone 8 right
yeah,
here.
we're video people. The iPhone SE.
Oh, there
my
you go.
Favorite phone because it is the right size. It's small.
Do you know how small that looks in your hand?
Yes. Yes. It's the best.
You look like Thanos holding an iPhone right now.
I can do this.
That's
look
what
right here.
she said.
I do this, and then I can scroll.
Once a year,
I can
there's
do like
one.
that.
Who holds their phone that way?
I have to. I get fucking tendonitis in my hands from how much I hold my phone. So I have to need a smaller phone. I heard there's a new version of this.
I have not heard.
The SE2.
I have not heard this rumor.
Every time I meet anyone who works at Apple, I'm like, please make another small phone. Stop making them so fucking big.
Well,
Well,
you've
that's
had
why
that a year, right? You've had that one a year.
I think so, yeah.
See, I like the form
It's been good
factor
for a
of
while.
the X because it's a bigger screen without being a bigger overall device.
True.
You
I
know?
don't like the big. I don't like the big phone.
You're right. Well, that's what this one is right here. So it's like, and it's nice to have the extra real estate when I'm kind of using it for work and I'm doing a lot of emails and stuff. But it does feel a bit bulky and large in your pocket.
Right.
I had an iPhone 7 Plus that I
Yeah, I see
bent
that.
part as Bengate. You know what I mean? So
This is a fucking huge.
well, after holding that,
Yeah, this is huge.
That's the big one, though, right?
Yeah.
This is a regular 8.
Let me see. Oh, well, that's still huge.
He's got a big
It's still,
case on it.
It's still too huge.
If this is really the SE2, though, that's kind of dope.
That's what the rumor thing I saw.
Okay.
Can you go to the follow
so it's
that
like a
link and-
blend between the X and the SE.
It looked like they took this SE and then made it full face screen, but I don't know if this is like what website is this? Is this a real legitimate website?
Techworm.
Techworm.
Is that a real site, Jay?
It sounds like a disease, techworm.
I know it sounds like an aggregator.
I don't. I
site,
mean, if
but-
I saw it on like Mac Rumors or something like that, I'd start to believe it more.
yeah, okay.
Well,
Well,
we're in
that's-
this era right now where people are going to try and get the click revenue, right? The clickbait revenue
Totally.
of talking about
Of
Mac
course.
Rumors.
Of course. Well,
what do you
that's
think
what I'm
about
hoping.
computing power in cars? Like, what do you think about the CarPlay thing versus people making bespoke MMIs versus should we just have a plug that mirrors your phone perfectly?
Every car I've owned in the last 2 years has had CarPlay, and I've never used it. So I'm a power user when it comes to like desktops and stuff. I'm a simple user when it comes to mobile devices because that's why I like iPhone, honestly, and I get a lot of hate from a lot of my followers who are like diehard Android followers because I'm not a power user on my device. I don't want to customize it. I don't want to do anything but read my email, open my apps to do whatever.
The 6 functions.
Yeah, and no, nothing against Android. I used Android for years. I just got tired of feeling like I've got to set it up to be mine, and I wasn't using most of the functions. I got tired of like for the longest time the battery life sucked. It's improved obviously in the 5 years since I've used an Android, but I'm a simple user. And so I like the simplicity of this, and I don't even connect Bluetooth to my car most of the time. That's how much I'm just like,
Really?
when I'm out of the studio or I'm out of the house, I'm not too worried about what's happening on this, especially if I'm driving. I care more about just either listening to the engine, listening to music, and I'm away from tech when I'm in my car.
So you're happy to use whatever system's there, nav, radio, just
Right.
you'll adapt to that. Fine.
I just got to spend a week with the TTRS doing a review with Audi on that car.
How fucking boss is the TTRS?
Dude, that virtual cockpit though,
Yeah.
that is where I went, okay, tech and cars definitely can blend well.
Yeah.
And it was really neat. I still didn't connect my phone to that car because I know there's a lot of functions you can do with your phone. But
Yeah, I mean, I drove that thing for a
MMI,
week.
I
And,
think it called or something.
yeah, I drove it for a week and I didn't do anything special. I mean,
Right.
I had a Bluetooth connected, but like, yeah,
But
there's
I
a
felt-
virtual cockpit.
I just kept
That
playing
shit is
around with the
awesome.
virtual cockpit because it
Crazy.
was neat to kind of change around the different. I was
Totally.
like, I want to do this today, or
Yeah.
the-
And you know, if
the
you're in
G-
a, if
the
you're in a
heat map,
canyon, you can make the tack real big.
the
or,
heat map on the G meter was the coolest function.
yeah.
Because obviously there's a G meter in my car, but it doesn't. It just tells me what max G was. It doesn't tell me like here's where the heat map was. So it was a neat
It
function.
creates
Wow.
like a graphical
where it's
representation
going.
of how hard you're pushing. It's really neat.
Yeah.
But on top of that, that car for a Volkswagen Golf based car is extraordinarily fast.
And it was really interesting because the as tested price of the car that I had was $77,000.
That's high.
Well, it had literally every function,
lot of
including
options.
including the carbon ceramic brakes,
Oh
which was
shit!
a huge
Really?
chunk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
Wow.
one I drove was 64. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was way cheaper.
I assume that was the steel brakes, right?
yes.
Okay,
And they were great.
I think like 7,500 of it was the brakes.
yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
But it was interesting because I went, well, this is $5,000 more than my car costs. So what's obviously two completely different
Yes.
animals. It was a nice car. It was comfortable. I would totally daily it.
Mm-hmm.
The wife got to drive it. She enjoyed it, and surprising
Great,
amount.
pull that picture over, Tim. That's a great interior.
A surprising amount of interior room for guys our size.
Very
super,
roomy.
super spacious.
They're
Right.
really good at that kind of design.
And I think I love the detail work of the air vents.
Mm-hmm.
Like like it's
each little dial is actually a screen inside of the vent.
Yeah.
I think they started
zoom
that.
in on that
That'll
left
get
side
popular.
vent there, Tim, if you can. You can see on the left, if you zoom in, it's actually the heated seat knob in the middle, and it's actually an LCD dial.
Right.
It's really smart because then you
inside.
save a ton of real estate in the middle. You can make it look a lot cleaner. It's not as cluttered.
There's no center console display of any kind. It's all the virtual lock.
I was
cockpit.
missing a center armrest.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't even
'Cause
know
it's a little
if it's
low.
optional, but on a long trip, I felt without.
So so I have a Silverado, a Sienna, a Z, and a ZL1. Right, very contrasty cars. Every one of those cars I get in, I got a place to put my elbow.
Yeah.
This car has the center console, but it's so low, it's unusable for guys that are like long torsos like us to put your elbow
There
on something.
may be some kind of optional armrest, and I know
like
that's,
on the seat.
I don't know. I know that's dumb
Like
as
a
fuck for a
captain's chair?
$70,000 car, but I think
But
there
it's
might
probably
be.
true. Like BMWs have come with, you can get different options for armrests, and some
Yeah.
are long and some are super short. You want that little weird little top hat thing that just
Yeah.
covers like the little compartment. Yeah.
So
But it's dude, I drove one on the racetrack at Spring Mountain, and it was like the perfect in between like a rally car and an almost supercar.
So I didn't get to track it. I just got to do road experience on it. Was understeer present on that all-wheel drive Quattro?
The prevailing handling characteristic actually is a real ease to do a very mild four-wheel slide into a corner.
Okay.
Very mild.
Okay.
And if you adjust to what the car wants to do, it likes trail braking. It likes to little rotate under the trail braking. If you did the traditional brake in a straight line, turn in, power on, it would understeer a bit towards the exit.
Okay.
But you can kind of use that if you adjust your line and your braking and your entry angle a bit to work for you to just
Right.
kind of carry out onto the wider curbing. But at Spring Mountain, not that we had an equivalent comparison, but I was significantly quicker than an Aston DB11 that we had, which is 600 horsepower,
Wow.
and the new Lexus LC500.
Well, I mean, this thing weighs like 3,200 pounds.
It was
right?
light.
It's super light.
Yeah, it's light. It was like flickable.
Yeah.
Very flickable.
That
you know?
was, and the thing with the carbon ceramic brakes was I kept like slamming my face into the windshield practically because going from the ZL1 to that, the initial bite at cold temps was so high. It was extremely touchy, so my passengers kept getting, the jerk, and then I get in the Camaro and I'm rolling through stop signs, So there was a little bit of adjustment period there, but it was a fun car. I can't wait for
very
that video to go live.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
It is, but that's a real motherfucker of a motor. And APR,
That
we looked it
2.5
up.
TFSI.
We looked it up. Can you pull it up again? I think APR with just a tune, right? Stage 1 tune ran low 10s,
Wow.
Yeah.
right?
Well, that was the RS3, right?
RS3, which is the same
same-
exact
right, same
powertrain
drivetrain.
and
Yeah.
more weight.
What's great, the weight balance on that is 5941.
Wow.
Super front heavy.
Yeah.
There,
More
there,
than the
wait,
Camaro
there it is.
even.
Go back to the YouTube thing down there. I know we can't play it, but there, a 10.55 at 127
Stage 1.
in an RS3 with just a tune.
And the TTRS
So
is
fast.
lighter.
The TTRS is the same thing but lighter.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So
That's
much left on the
literally
table.
that's like McLaren speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bananas that what's there on the table. You just add a tune.
Like, remember the 570 GT and how fast that was?
Mhm.
This is faster than that.
Yep.
Out of the hole for sure.
Fucking crazy.
I wonder. It'd be cool to see how they pull.
Oh,
Like
and a
from-
half mile.
I mean,
the
one-
McLaren
right.
will go. A half
One
mile.
127 seems a little low trap for a 10.5.
Yeah,
But
that's it. This is a 0 to 60 car.
Yeah.
But that's a very
so it does
impressive.
like 3.4 in the TTRS stock. That's got to be sub 3s then.
Or 3 flat or
Yeah.
something like that. It's crazy. Good for Audi. What else is happening? What else you drive? Anything cool?
Nothing really cool. I mean, the 370Z, everyone thinks I sold it, but it's one of those things where it's just kind of going through a transition.
Yeah.
Because when I came out here last time, that was just straight up street car that I was tracking, but you're never going to have a great track car that's a street car, and never have a great street car that's a track car.
Right.
And I'm transitioning right now. We're going to finish out the season because I do time attack with the Nissan Challenge through Speed Ventures.
Oh, fun. Are you
And-
going to be at Cal Speedway on Saturday?
No, the next event I'm doing is we're doing Streets of Willow on the 12th.
I'll be at
Yeah.
Cal Speedway on Saturday. For those who are coming out, I will have a supercharged Performante. It should
Oh
be
wow!
slow.
So I live like 5 minutes from California
Come
Speedway,
out
so I
and
might
say
have to come
hello.
out and say hi.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the thing is, like I said, it's got a 4-point cage in it right now until the season's over, and then we'll talk about doing a 6-point.
Is that really just a harness bar?
No, it's a true 4-point that mounts to the to the floors and to the strut towers in the back and stuff.
Okay.
It's got a crossbar, X brace, the whole deal. But that was so that I could safely run my Sparco seat because
Right.
I won't do a harness bar. I mean, that's not safe. So at least not in that car anyway. You deal with any sort of lateral movement in the harness bar, then you're kind of screwed.
Oh yeah, that could be a problem.
And as it is with the slope of the roof on where I sit already, getting the bar above my head is next to impossible. It's level.
It's a really small car, and you're already quite tall.
Yeah, it was not built for. It was built for Japanese dudes, not guys like me. So it's a challenge, but I want to eventually transition this to a full lightweight custom floor pan, smooth floor pan to get the seat lower race car. But it's one of those things where I don't really have the space right now, the garage space, to have a race car. So I'm still trying to make it all work and trying to figure out what that means. But I want to take that Z to the next level.
Yeah, it means probably a trailer.
Well, I've already got a trailer.
Oh, you do?
But it doesn't stay with me. It stays with a guy in Paris who's got a lot of dirt lots. So
You're just adding time to that track day. Or every
Yep.
time you every link up. Oh, now I got to.
or the alternative is I get trailer parking at the the storage
yeah.
lot next to me at $150 a month. We're
Yeah.
talking over $1,500 a year just to hold my trailer in their lot. I mean,
And that's well compared around here, that's cheap for parking a trailer or a car, but it's not that it's inexpensive.
yeah.
I'm gonna be that guy. That's the thing. I'm building a collectible
Oh, I
car
know.
storage
No, I
place
know.
Oh, yeah.
to be that guy.
Yeah, well, there
Collect
you
that
go.
money.
But like
But,
a race trailer is like a whole different ballgame. You're
Yeah.
gonna throw it on a lift, and it's there's a lot of work that goes into the track
So
car.
I've been with my wife almost 19 years, and she has not cared less about the car stuff I've been into all this time. I finally, at the end of last year, got her to come out to our last round of our Time Attack series. Took her out on track, and that changed everything for her.
Really, she enjoyed it.
We were parked next to the Porsche guys who have their big rig double-decker lifts in the trailer. She's like, we need that.
Yes,
She's like,
you
we need
do.
that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. Pump the brakes here a little bit because do you know what that costs?
Yeah.
But the thing was, for the first time in 19 years, I've seen her get excited about something to do with a car. And then, I had to buy her own helmet and stuff, which is fun.
Yeah.
Because
What about her own? Now she can drive the Nissan. You can drive the Camaro. Here we go. Now you can do track days together.
She can't drive a stick, and I'm not qualified to teach her. I love my wife enough to know that I can't teach her something like driving a stick and save our marriage because we've been together so long. It's like I need someone else to teach her.
You can send her my video series on how to drive stick.
I watched
It's
it.
been viewed millions of times.
I watched it because I was like, I'm curious. How does Matt gonna teach people to drive a stick? Makes sense. Let out the clutch, get the car to move.
People
Don't worry
seem
about the
to
gas.
enjoy it. The
Yep.
thumbs up to thumbs down ratio is pretty good.
You can get her automatic. You can get her some super basic automatic car to get her into driving
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the good
Like
news
anything.
is there's a lot of totally fun cars that you can get with paddle shifters or,
Yeah.
or full autos now. They're not terrible to drive. There's a bunch of shit out there.
It's just this is like a day I never thought would happen. I mean, come on, after 18,
I
19
totally
years, you
feel
think
you.
like this is never gonna happen. And all it took was she went to the events with me back in the day when I had the old Camaros, and she couldn't care less. It was not interesting to her.
So what's the difference now?
I don't know, to
Car's
be
a lot
honest.
faster.
I don't think it's that. I just think her likes and dislikes have changed.
How
honestly.
fortunate for you.
Yeah,
Now
no
you
kidding.
have, now
You
you have a
wore it
track
down.
day wife.
You wore it down for
Attractive wife.
18 years. Now she's
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm kind of into this.
Have you
Yeah.
seen that? You've seen the picture of the fairly attractive. We can call her a cougar with the yellow LaFerrari and
yeah,
the
yeah,
license plate race wife.
Yep.
I don't know who she is, but she seems like a winner. Yeah, there it is. The track days. There she is. I don't know who you are, ma'am, but you seem like whatever you've done to achieve that position in life, your decisions have been correct.
Yeah, that's her track car, or she's tracking that car, I guess. Wow,
I mean, yeah,
she got a helmet.
Yeah, her and whoever her husband is. Someone will comment and tell me who that is, but her and her husband seem to be real into Ferraris and track days.
Good. I'm glad they didn't bubble that thing. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think remember when I bought my Mercedes in Newport Beach and there was a yellow LaFerrari in the showroom? That's it, yeah. I think it was this one because I think they got an FXXK.
Ooh, wow.
I think. I'm hype.
The dealer got the FXXK, or these people?
No, they sold this through, they consigned it through the dealer, I think, when they got that. Oh, yeah, Google executive surprises, quote, race wife with Ferrari FXXK.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
Google executive. That certainly explains some things.
Makes
but,
It does.
You know what? I still stand by my statement. She made all the right moves. That
That's awesome.
FXXK, look
Those
at that.
things are crazy.
Could there be a prettier fucking race car on the planet than an FXXK? Wow, that's sexy. Anything
Very
interesting
cool.
on the Super Chat instead of just like continuing to check out this Google executive's wife? Can you zoom in on this page, Tim? I can't read any of that shit.
Tavares says he'll bring his car to Monterey Car Week. Hopefully, let's make it happen.
Monterey Car Week.
Pismo?
I don't want to
Oh,
test
okay.
your
Or
car
no,
in
Monterey.
traffic, Freddie. Bring that
That's
shit
true.
down here.
You can't get on a track there. In that
You can't
weekend.
get on a track there. You can't drive faster than 10. It's the world's greatest traffic jam. Definitely go. Have you been to Monterey for Pebble?
Yeah, I've been up there.
It's the best. Have you been for Pebble Beach for the scene?
Oh, and I've not been to a car show up there. I mean, I've been up, or if you're talking about rallies and stuff,
No,
I've
no,
just
I mean
been up there.
the actual Pebble Beach Concours weekend that happened. Oh, you must go.
I've seen videos and stuff, but
It's
I've never
insanity.
been there.
It's the coolest thing ever. It's not. You don't even have to go to any of the events. You just go and just get yourself stuck in a traffic jam, and you'll be. Oh, there's a Tour de France. Oh, there's a fucking Bugatti. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a it's just everything all the time. It's craziness.
It's cool, and the vintage races are awesome. You go to Laguna Seca, and people are just ripping old stuff around. It's real. That's my favorite thing.
Right.
there.
That's the sad part about Laguna Seca. It's part of our series now. Sonoma and Laguna have now been a part of the tour that we do, but I can't bring my cars to either one of the or to
Too
Laguna.
loud?
Too loud.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I will be at Laguna Seca with NCRC on Monday, May 28th, and I will be at Sonoma with Hooked on Driving on Tuesday, May 29th, with my long-term Lotus Evora 400. Full track day schedule. 25th, Buttonwillow. May 25th, Buttonwillow. 28th, Laguna. 29th, Sonoma. June 3rd, Big Willow. Come out and say hi. There's spaces in every single... Oh, Jesus. There are spaces available in every single one of those track days. If you want to come to a track day with me, come on out.
Buttonwillow and Big Willow are gonna be warm.
They will be warm.
Yeah.
I'm
The
trying to do
streets-
all of those on tires.
Streets on the
One set of
12th is
tires.
looking like a 90-degree day. It's gonna be a warm day.
on the
On May 12th when we're gonna be up
Oh,
there.
okay.
It's looking like 90, so it's gonna be a
That's
warm one.
fucking hot.
It will be
Yeah.
fun track.
It is.
Big Willow, we were talking about this with Johnny Lieberman last night. We don't like Big Willow. We think it eats tires and isn't that fun to drive.
Yeah.
We like Streets of Willow better.
I think Big Wheel is something that you make it through. At least in my experience, because like I have not driven at high speeds on
Big
tracks
Willow
a lot.
is just a ball measurement.
Yes,
Like the
balls,
over
grip,
crest, it's crazy.
arrow.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah, and it eats your tires.
I don't go on Big Willow just because I don't have the safety equipment to really safely send it at Big
to go
Willow.
off toward the green wall that's
Yeah.
like hundreds of feet away, but you can still hit it. Yeah, the speed's going in 9.
Or
Huge.
let's say you actually line up the exit out of 8 into 9 right, and you late apex that, and you turn in, and if you go off, you're going right to that pit wall, you know, or you go across like everyone else does, and then you roll on the inside.
Right.
So I mean, it's so consistent on what goes wrong there.
Here's a good one. Casey Mitchell, thank you for your significant contribution to the show. Been watching since you were in college 7 years ago. I'm about to buy my first real performance car. I have $45,000 or so to spend. I already have a practical car. I'm thinking either, what does it say, a fifth gen ZL1 or a used C7. Thoughts? Your thoughts, Jay?
Well, you got to keep in mind what those brake jobs are going to cost on that 5th gen. Oh, I'm sorry, I think it's Z28. ZL1 5th gen, so that's
Nice
the
car.
Yeah, I mean
Fast
that's the
car.
LSA, I believe it was. Reliable, easy to work on. It was a fast car.
Magnetic shocks.
I would
580 horsepower.
Feels like a cheap AMG when I drove it. I really liked it. It's fun.
I would personally take it over the C7. I've not been much of a Corvette fan personally. Just I think my height and my size have always made them really feel just uncomfortable to me. That transaxle is expensive to work on. Clutches are expensive. I mean, I just feel like for a first performance car, the 5th gen would be easier for him to kind of work on himself.
Could be, yeah. I think different perspective. If you were planning on wrenching yourself, Jay's perspective is good. I think from a driving perspective, there is no substitute for the geometries that a Corvette has versus a Camaro. A Camaro has a back seat and has to look a certain way, and it has geometries in accordance with that. The ZL1 is a really, really nice car. It's like a rowdier old CTSV, which is good.
Let's not forget those unusable rear seats also change your insurance. Makes it
Oh,
a
they
little bit
do.
more affordable.
Okay, there you go. Practical. I think for me, and because I'm a bigger guy, the C7 is a little disappointing because it's actually a little more cramped than some of the C5 or 6 is, even though it's like nicer. So I don't know. I think if you don't need the back seat and the back seat doesn't affect your insurance in a very negative way, the Corvette is a higher starting position.
It is.
The ceiling is higher. I mean,
The
other than
ceiling's
straight line
higher.
speed,
Not to
it's a
mention,
better.
You can actually
track car.
fit a surprising amount of stuff in the hatch of a C7.
Oh hell yeah, a lot. We could fit a whole bunch of like all our camera gear.
Right.
for
I think the
all-
opening of the Camaro as well is kind of like that. Smaller at the top, bigger at the bottom, kind of jar.
Same thing with mine. It's like you open the trunk and you're like, wow, that's really deep, but you can't get anything in the
Right.
opening to take advantage of it
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
And not to mention with the 1LE option, the rear seat doesn't fold down anyway, so it's kind of like
Oh,
Funny
does it with the 5th gen ZL1? I think it does.
the ZL1. I'm pretty sure it
Yeah, I
does.
think it does. Yeah.
Funny. Not to derail your conversation real quick, but
No,
I
it's-
so
Here
when
we
I
are. This is it.
So when I was installing my RotoFab intake and my Tony Mammo throttle body on the 1LE, the battery's in the trunk of the car, and I had the garage door up and the trunk is open, the battery negative terminal's disconnected. It starts to rain, and I'm going, oh, I don't want it to rain on my in the back of the car, so I just shut the trunk, and I don't think anything of it. Going to like open the trunk, I'm like, wait a minute. The battery is disconnected and stuff, and I can't open the trunk. I'm thinking to myself, well, I'll just fold down the seat. Wait, the seat doesn't fold down. Fortunately, Chevy has the jumper cables, the terminals under the hood.
Uh-huh.
But if you undo the positive terminal on that battery, you're
That's
screwed.
it, yeah.
How do you open the trunk? You would literally have to disassemble the rear seat
Wow.
option. Because it's
Is there
got the little.
there's no manual lock in the back or anything anymore?
No, it's purely electronic. Solenoid.
Wow.
That could be a massive problem.
Yeah.
So we had an interesting thing happen. I was on a shoot, 2 weeks ago, and some guys were shooting out the back of a minivan, and the hatch kept beeping. So the way they got to stop beeping is they shoved a carabiner in the locking mechanism of the open hatch, and it stopped. But when they put it in there, they said it like clicked, and all of a sudden the motor went. Oh, it just tightened on the thing like a crab. Jump ahead 2 days. We shot for 2 days, and now we have to drive home on this thing, and we cannot get this thing out. And it took 40 minutes, and they figured out, in a normal trunk, you go in the back of the trunk and you see like the child protective tab. It's like bright green and glows in the dark. And if you get stuck in a trunk, you can pull that and get out. This is a minivan, so they don't have that tab because obviously you can just get out the front door. After 40 minutes, we realized to pull off the liner of the hatch, and Toyota, they didn't want to make two different parts. So they used the same trunk mechanism that would have that pull tab, but you have to like find the button, which we did, thank God, and it released that carabiner. But it was a very interesting lesson.
Who figured that out?
It was Hardegree and Semanchik.
Wow. Good for them.
Yeah, we were just pulling and hitting things.
I hope we answered Casey's question. I go with the C7 if you don't need the extra space of the Z20 of the ZL1.
What if those weren't the only two options? What for 45K? Any other recommendations?
He could get a 6th gen SS, right?
True.
45K will get you a 1LE, probably a brand new 1LE.
What 45K?
Will get you a SS 1LE.
Oh, SS. I thought you were thinking. I was thinking ZL1.
No,
I'm like, where? I'm gonna buy another one.
Is there? Wait, is there an SS 1LE? There is, right? Yeah. I
Yeah,
think you
there's
might get in for
you
that.
can actually get a 1LE now in the 4-cylinder turbo starting 2019.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, I mean, look, you could also get a really nice Mustang. You can also get a Focus RS. Or an STI. You can also get. I mean, $45,000 is quite a lot of money. You could get a great used E92 M3.
996 turbo.
You could get a 996 turbo. Fuck yeah, you could. You could get a 997 Carrera S with some miles on it. You could get the greatest used 987 Cayman ever.
What is the new C7
I like
base
all of those
cost?
options better.
Just like a
I like
Stingray.
everything
It's
else
like 51.
we've listened.
I think,
Oh,
or like
okay.
plus,
So you can get
plus
a used one in the
Z51.
40s range then.
Yeah, you can get like a C7 with a Z51 package. Would be a really, really good, capable car.
We
with
had a
45
ZR, a C7 once without Z51, and it was no bueno.
Really?
Yeah, the Z51 is like one of the best values in all of cars.
What's that code? What does it get you?
You get you get a lot.
brakes, diff suspension
It's like
or something
yeah,
like that?
you get a ton of shit. You get completely different. Oh wait, Zach will look it up. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Because basically the base was still considered a Stingray, right? They're all Stingrays.
Yeah, they're all Stingrays.
Okay.
Yeah. But Z51, it's like you get how much? It's like only like $6,500, and you get so much stuff.
Working on it.
Working on it. Right. In the meantime, we'll come back to that. In the meantime, what tracks?
Oh wait, here you go.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, larger wheels, but whatever. Dry sump oil system.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Enough said.
Brakes, spring shocks, and stabilizer bars are tighter, stiffer, of course. E-diff, ELSD, and better gear ratios.
The dry
Yep.
sump
That's
alone,
a
if you're going to track
lot.
the car,
Yeah.
is worth it.
Yeah, and I think it's less than 7.
Yeah,
It's like
it was
$6,800
pretty
or
I was a
affordable.
something
little
like that.
disappointed they didn't do dry sump in the LT4, to be honest.
Your car doesn't have a dry sump?
No, it's wet sump.
That
But it's dry sump in the Z06, I believe.
strange.
Yeah, no, it's wet sump.
I
Maybe
wonder
they
why that
had to give people a reason to buy the Z06. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
What tracks should I take my EG, assuming you mean a Civic, to in SoCal? Unless you happen to have like a 600 horsepower Civic, I'd recommend the smaller one. So
Streets of Willow.
Streets of Willow,
Streets.
Definitely. I'd recommend actually going to do some time attack at Adams in
Oh, yeah,
Riverside.
yeah.
Adams
It's not a
Motorsports
bad
Park.
idea.
It's fun to watch.
It's fun to drive. It's
Yeah.
really fun to do. When we had the Fiesta ST, it was a blast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Button Willow is fun in a Civic.
I think those two. Chuck Wall is like too fast for that car, I think.
Chuckwalla?
Chuckwala's
Well, Buttonwillow is
fine.
faster than Chuckwalla.
What's that?
Buttonwillow is faster than Chuckwalla.
Is it
Yes,
really?
true, but I think
Doesn't
I feel like
feel like
Buttonwillow has more variety of like it has some smaller corners and then
Because
some bigger corners.
Buttonwillow's a rhythm track, whereas Chuckwalla is a fun momentum track. But we've gone out there with some of the Civic guys that are running mild upgrades to the engine, but they're just completely weightless.
What's the
They're-
difference between a rhythm track and a momentum track?
So this, as explained by my instructor, is momentum tracks in something like Chuckwalla. It's less horsepower dependent, where it's about just linking together the turns and making sure you have momentum through them,
Yes,
right? Which is
okay.
true for any track.
Uh-huh.
But Buttonwillow is one of those, and I learned this when I went out the first 2 sessions before I got coaching from him on a track I had never driven in that configuration. You fuck up a turn, and then you realize how much you just jacked up
Oh,
the next 2 or 3 turns.
That's actually a very good point. Okay.
Because I didn't know where the true sacrifices were on Buttonwillow
Yeah.
until you realize, like, okay, I completely lost my rhythm. I've now jacked up my next 3 turns to find that rhythm again. And
there
so
are a couple corners that are very important on Buttonwillow, and
Like
they're
going
not
in-
the ones you think about.
going into Cotton Corners, right? Kind of the high speed right going into bus stop. Phil Hill for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, coming out of the S's, that late apex into the S's
Totally.
to get straight line entry. So things that just didn't, to me, I realized by the end of the day, because my times went, they started off really slow. They went 209, 206, 204, 201, and then we did 158. So with the amount of time that was being shaved was just realizing, like, okay, I'm finding the proper rhythm on this track, the braking zones where we could push it, where the proper entry lines were, had corner exit, and I understood more the driving style there versus Chuckwalla, where Chuckwalla can get away with a lot more on kind of messing up some of your entry zones.
It's
And-
very
True.
wide.
I think
Yeah.
the reason I say that is because I was literally at Chuckwalla last week and I was driving around a Miata to do production and I was having fun but it was if his EG hatch is low on power, to me I guess I just see it, you're going to sit there in 3rd and 4th gear and
Yeah.
yes you're going to have a lot of momentum and it's going to corner great, but I just wouldn't personally find that as interesting as having a track that has some hairpins and stuff where I can go down to 2 and
Yeah.
have some acceleration, just more variation.
Last year we had the Fiesta ST press car at Chuckwalla, and it was fun. Like, it was a good time. But even a Fiesta ST compared to an EG hatch is like a lot of power.
Yeah,
we're
totally.
talking like double probably horsepower. I would say, I mean, honestly, all of them. Go to all of them. Like, maybe not Big Willow. Big Willow's would kind of suck in the EG hatch, but the rest
we
of
do have a stock 300,000 mile KA S13.
Cool.
That'll do a 204 at Chuckwalla.
Whoa.
that's pretty good.
So
very
I
good.
mean, you can have a lot of fun in a low powered car.
For sure.
It's
Absolutely.
just all about driver skill.
Oh, and we've seen it at Grid Life, the thing I am involved with, which started primarily as a Honda event. There are some very low-powered Hondas that have incredible drivers,
Right.
And they weigh 1,600 pounds and make 160 horsepower, and they fly.
At Buttonwillow, I pointed by an NAEG yellow hatch.
Yeah,
Because
the
he was
ugly ass car is mobbing.
he's lifting the inside wheel a foot off the ground because he's sending it, and I'm in the ZL1 going, just get off my
You're
ass.
gonna die.
Wow.
Just go ahead. You're gonna die.
No, he was. I don't know how fast he was. He didn't have timing, but I know he was faster than me, and we did 201.
That's
so.
awesome.
Wow, that's rad.
We have a couple of people who are just contributing to the show, just to contribute, and we thank you very much for that. We see you, and Spencer, we will not ignore your audio-only fans, but it's hard because we can look at pictures of things. You don't understand, man. It's fucking like crack when your eyes are open. It's a new medium, bro. It's a new medium.
Well, hopefully, and people can comment on this. If you feel like if you feel like the show is changing drastically from catering to audio, let us know. But I think we have enough conversation you can pay attention to.
Yeah.
That it's okay.
We'll try and do, if there's something that isn't we don't need to, if there's something that really needs describing, we will think about describing it better. If we can. And what's it say? Hey, what's it say? Purging my new heat exchanger in my, I can't read this, in my 13 CTSV.
Getting ready for a tune tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not like you're just making a statement about a CTSV. But yeah.
Thank you, RTA Motorsports. I appreciate it. Is that all we got for that? Yeah. All right. So I have a thing that was actually, it's part of our Haggerty deal, but it relates to you directly, Jay.
Okay.
Because since this is the fucking ZL1 show, apparently, here we go. So
I'm sure my fans are sick of hearing about my car.
It's fine. You know what? I think we can. We somehow managed to find over an hour of things to talk about the fucking Camaro ZL1. So that's pretty good. It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Ron, make a note. Call Ron. Ron from GM, because I need a 10-speed auto ZL1 in the Heezy fucking stat. So in partnership with Haggerty, they have a newsletter at haggerty.com/newsletter, and every week they actually send out some fun articles. I don't always agree with their assessments of certain things, which is fine. I don't fucking have to. But they have the scale of 0 to 100. And there is one thing that Haggerty does that I find investing in cars interesting, and so I focus on auction prices and car values and stuff like that, what's going up, what's going down, etc. I don't do stock markets, Jay. I do cars.
Yeah.
And watches, but mostly cars. So we talked about last week, we talked about cars that were hot. They were kind of crappy cars, but hot. Week before that, we talked about cars that were not. But this week, the 10 hottest future collectibles of 2018. So it's basically the way Haggerty goes through this. It's like the number and the value of
really
people insuring with them.
Wondered how they predict 30 years from now,
Yeah, I don't know how they do that. Maybe they don't. But I think in terms of these lists, it tends to be based on, they do collector car insurance.
Right.
And it tends to be based on how many and in what
ways.
Probably
number of applications that are coming in.
Applications, values, and stuff like that.
Because GM is supposed to be making 750 of my car, and that's it for 2018. And then what I heard was that they were actually sold out. And what I mean by that, it's not taking any more orders. What's sitting on lots, it's all that's left. My neighbor 3 doors down bought a red one right after I got mine, and when we ran into each other, we're going, you got to be fucking shitting me. Because suddenly we're looking at each other like, now we're not the special guy in the neighborhood, right?
Now you need the stage 1, and he gets the stage 2.
Well, my neighbors have a AMG GTS, right? My neighbor behind me has a Hellcat Charger, and so there's a lot of car enthusiasts
in my
neighborhood.
It is. Dick waving in this fucking hood.
No, man. You know what? I'd own 3 of those if I had the money.
Yeah.
At the same time.
But it's just funny because all they have to do is suddenly decide they're going to make a lot more of the 1LE ZL1s, and suddenly they're not going to be that collector's edition in the future,
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a 2019.
I'm wondering if they're going to maybe bring back a 2019 Z28, which a lot of people have been thinking a 6th-gen Z28 might be in the works. But they thought the 1LE was going to be the Z28 as well in the spy shots.
What made the Z28 work was that they already had the engine, and they don't have an engine now.
Right.
All the engines they have are being used.
Well, you see in the 2019 6th-gen and a half Camaro, right, that they've from the 4-cylinder and the LT up to like the SS, they've got that new redesigned body style, but the ZL1 still has the old looking style.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I'm wondering if they're going to make a 2019 ZL1.
If not, it could be one of the hottest future collectibles of 2018. Anyway, if they really are only selling 750, that's
See, I had heard that as a rumor, and someone else at CamaroCon said the same thing to me. So I'm like, well, we'll see.
I would. Honestly, knowing GM, I'd be shocked if they limited.
My neighbor told me that he ordered his car in October, and he didn't get it until January. In January, he got the note that they were actually starting production on it, because when he bought it, they basically told him they didn't know if they were even going to build it, because they didn't know what was already sold across the nation. So he had to see where he lined up in the order, like the order of orders, right? So he didn't even know if he was going to get the car until he got confirmation it was being built, and then 3 weeks later he had the car.
Oh my God.
That's kind of a funny thing. I hope people that have, like, if you have an indie shop and you're like, man, my car's been there a month. This is taking so long. And it's like, hey, you can order something from GM, and they'll give you a note that's like, hey, it'll be built soon.
Well,
Yeah.
I got, remember the Focus RS?
Mhm.
I mean, the Focus RS was like, the order books opened like October 1st. And then the orders went to the factory like February 1st.
Yeah.
But when the factory took the orders, the factory didn't take the orders in the order in which they
Oh,
were
wow.
received from the dealer. So they took the orders and just then built like, I don't know, all the black ones and then all the fucking white ones. And like, just like, so the cars that came in a completely fucking random order.
Which I'm sure pissed off the people that made the orders.
So people who ordered in January were getting cars like ahead of people who ordered in October.
Yeah.
And since I had stupidly, as I do, made a big fucking deal out of having the first order in, and then I didn't get the car until like 3 months after it was out, it was all very dumb.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. So anyway, ZL1 1LE, big surprise on the list of the 10 hottest.
The article I read said it was number 2. Is that in an order?
It's not in an order, this
Okay.
list. It's just 10 cars that are hot, and it's the limit was $100K, by the way, on the price of entry. And the other one we already talked about was the RS3,
Yeah.
which is
That surprised me, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this because they're going to build a bunch of these. People are going to buy these things. Like, they're fast, they
Yeah.
look good, they drive good, they're reasonably priced.
Another YouTuber is in the same building as me has one.
And the
Well, do you think they look back at like the B5S4 and they go, man, people love these things and they're coveted and this car is great, so it's so good. Like, I mean, it's a long projection to make, but is that where they're going?
I guess.
But I feel like the initial racing heritage of Audi and what it did with, like rally and stuff is what kind of gave it that collector's edition from that era.
Mhm.
I don't feel like they have that same stigma today, like with the modern stuff.
Because they're so much more prevalent, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this motor's about, right? That's what the 2.5 is.
This motor is
The
about the
five-cylinder,
five-cylinder.
right, exactly.
Yeah, and it's half of a R8 engine. And it sounds like half of an R8 engine. So
Sounds good.
it's really
cool.
I think these will be well appreciated. I mean, it's a non-controversial shape. It'll probably age well, and compared to the S4, like these drive better. These are the right size.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And next is continues to me, was the SRT Demon. Big surprise on this one.
Is that the Demon's not a limited production, right?
I think it is.
Oh, is it?
I
Okay.
think it was limited to 1,000 or 1,500 a year.
And probably because they're not going to sell tons of those things.
I think it was limited by a certain number of the low volume parts that are used on it. My favorite thing about the Demon is that it uses the air conditioner as a charge cooler.
You know,
that's fucking boss.
Weapon X sells that kit for my car
Oh,
too.
do they?
But they're like drag racing only, not road racing
Yeah,
safe.
of course. And speaking of, go back to cool factory shit. The guys at GM were like, wait till the ZR1 has a dual fueling system.
Oh
It
yeah.
has DFI and it has port injection.
Right.
And he's like, wait till the tuners figure out the part numbers to order this rig from the GM Performance catalog and just like put it on anything.
Right.
It'll fit. They basically implied it would fit more or less on any LT1 engine to run a dual fuel system and to run apparently more than 700 horsepower. So you need it.
Fun fact: the 2SS Camaro does not require any modifications to the fuel system to do E85. It just needs the mixture sensor.
Interesting.
Wow.
My car requires a different fuel low side, like I told you.
Interesting.
So it's $145 to convert a 2SS to E85 versus $1,500 for my car,
Huh.
which I found really interesting considering my Silverado, obviously is E85, and
out
so
of the
many
box.
GM models are E85.
I wonder if that's why. If there's so many carryover parts from like these more normal cars to
Yeah.
the 2SS,
Yeah.
but yours had a bunch of special stuff and
or
just didn't work.
my fuel system's already just at its limit.
Could be. Could
So-
be. Yeah.
They're only making 3,300 Demons, so they'll stop making them when those are all sold.
So it could carry over to another year if they're not all sold.
That's what it says.
and
It
then-
may carry over into 2019 if they're not all sold, but they are going to stop at 33.
Okay.
3,300.
Wonder
okay.
what that number is significant about the 3,300.
I don't know.
Not how much it weighs.
My friend Mike Musto bought a Demon,
He
and
did.
he is enjoying it.
Yeah.
He drives it a lot.
He said he really likes it. Does he have slicks and skinnies on it? Or does he have the normal wheels on it?
I bet he has the normal wheels on it, but I'm sure he bought that pack and it's
He
sitting
bought the
in
dumb
his
crate, right?
backyard. For
Yeah,
sure, I'm
he
sure
bought
he
the
would.
dumb
He wouldn't
crate.
buy it without the crate.
I
Yeah.
desperately need to get some Nitto drag radials and some weld wheels because I'm telling you, those Goodyears do not have acceleration grip at all.
Not in first, no. Yeah, not at the drag
Not with
strip.
700 horsepower.
Demons, like, I don't, it's not an appealing car to me. I don't give a shit about drag racing. The Hellcat wide body, what to me was good for a laugh, but I don't want to own it. I would
own the Charger. Jeep. I would own the Charger Hellcat for like 2 years. I could have a good, real fun 2 years from it. This will be one of those things that rolls across Mecum though. In 30 years, or even in 15, and it'll be very popular.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a healthy number of Demons that will not get driven at all.
I think the reason why this is on the list, you ever see that show Graveyard Cars?
Yeah.
Right, where they restore all the old Mopar stuff? I could see this being amongst that crowd, right, 30 years from now.
Yeah. This is the most History Channel car
on
sale right
People
now.
are going to be putting those engines into some weird stuff on build shows, too.
Yeah.
You ever see a fucking Demon engine on a stand?
Huge.
It is huge. And
Hemi engines are just gigantic.
The biggest engine I've ever seen, I think.
What is it, a 7 point...
No, 6.2.
No, this is a 6.2 supercharger.
Okay.
The biggest physical engine I've seen on a stand was a Ferrari Testarossa flat 12.
Yeah.
Which is gigantic. And then there's like the LT5, the ZR1 engine, is fucking monstrous. They had one next
because of how tall that supercharger is.
Yeah, they had one next to an LT4 on the stand, and you're like, oh my god, look how big it is. Yeah, look at those.
It's kind of funny because the LT4 with that Eaton supercharger, it's only 1.7 liter supercharger. It's really low. It's real low profile. You put like a Whipple on it though, then suddenly it's huge.
Yeah, well that's why you have to cut a hole in the hood.
Yeah,
the ZR1 has a giant hole in the hood. Okay, yeah, big engines. What else we got? There's a couple more on this thing. Civic Type R.
Yeah.
Are they still getting over for these fucking things?
Well, I've heard they were like some were $20,000 markup on some of them.
Completed listings or uncompleted listings?
Yeah,
the dealership I bought my car from had a $20,000 markup on it. I told them, "You're in GTR base territory. If that can't come off, I'm not buying the car." Fortunately, they took the whole markup off, but they were trying to get 20,000 markup.
Maybe it's a sucker move, and maybe if you're not brave enough to just demand sticker, I drove the Civic Type R at Road Atlanta and on the street, and it is a lovely car. It really is. But should you pay $1 over sticker for one? Fuck no. Fuck no. It's a really nice car. It's a nice Civic.
How do you like it compared to your RS?
I actually, as far as normal road driving goes, I actually prefer the Type R. It rides better, even with fucking 20-inch wheels. It rides better. It has a more comfortable front seat.
Does it ride better than the RS after the new suspension?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It has a better ride.
What about on track? Did you track the
on
Type
track?
R?
I prefer the RS. The RS is definitely more motorsport.
Is it just
it's
maybe all-wheel
faster,
drive versus the front-wheel drive?
Not necessarily. It's more of the steering. The steering is razor sharp in the RS, and it feels like a fucking race car, whereas the Type R to me feels like a fast Civic, which is fine. It was a very nice car. I did overheat it a little bit on track.
Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me they do overheat.
Yeah, I overheated on track. But as a street car, I actually did prefer it to the Focus RS. The seat was really nice. The shifter was perfect, and the pedals were easy, and it was really a comfortable, practical, fun car. But do not pay over sticker for one. That's just stupid. What else is on there? Trackhawk. Yeah, obvious. Trackhawk. Giant 700 horsepower Jeep.
Yeah. The same one you tracked, or did you do SRT?
No, I did the regular SRT. It was fast as fuck.
And you overheated that too, didn't you?
No.
I thought it got warm.
Maybe a little warm.
Okay.
But I was probably running air conditioning because I do that.
Oh, okay.
I don't turn the air conditioning off on the track because,
Well, you're trying to talk to the camera too.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that. We'll just go with that. You're trying to talk to the camera without the wind noise, not that you're a diva that wants air conditioning.
I'd rather the engine got a little bit hot than I got a little bit hot.
That's not my car.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not my car.
You get distracted and gross on camera. You start sweating like crazy.
Yeah, it's you treat it like Chris Harris. It's like this car exists for purpose of my video.
There you go.
And I don't exist for this car.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously a 700 horsepower Jeep, that'll be popular in a few years, as it is popular now. Have you seen one on the street yet, Jay? A Trackhawk?
I don't think so.
I saw a guy mobbing up Lincoln in Venice.
Really?
Like the broiest bro.
Okay.
And it was so loud. I mean, it even almost sounded louder than the Hellcat. It was fucking tearing ass. Probably third gear up Lincoln. Fucking cool.
Good looking Jeeps too. And
This
I
one-
still see the
the
first gen
Wrangler.
SRT, second. They're still driving around.
Yeah.
It's not even a Rubicon, it's just a Wrangler.
I don't know.
Oh, it is a Rubicon.
I
It
don't
says it
know
down
who
there.
put the Jeep Wrangler
27
as
grand
hottest.
is not a Rubicon.
Right, 'cause
but
they say-
yeah, the picture's Rubicon.
It'll probably sell really well. That's probably why it's there.
I
You
mean,
know.
Wranglers have great resale.
Right.
They always do.
And this one's supposed to be
And they're
even
gonna
better
build
off-roading than everything
Dick
else.
load of them.
Mhm.
There's going to be 1 million of them.
Yeah. So, okay, Wrangler.
Yeah, what
And-
does collectible mean?
I mean,
You
it-
know?
Well, Jeep brought up FCA's sales. I was reading on Truth About Cars like last quarter by themselves. Like just Jeep sales have single-handedly brought that company's sales up compared to Fiat and everything else.
You mean Wrangler?
No, I'm talking about what
Oh,
it was
like
Jeep.
Jeep
within
Jeep
the
is keeping
umbrella.
Fiat
Got it,
Chrysler
yeah.
alive.
So all of the Jeeps, not just Wrangler.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what else? Kia Stinger GT.
That's I mean, it's too new to
That
really
feels too-
kind of.
Yeah, I agree. Good.
Here's the thing.
It's just hot right now. That's why it's on
hot
this list.
It's hot right now.
I feel like it's flavor of the month. I've seen a few of them on the road, and they always catch my attention. In my mind, I think I'm looking at something else. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the Stinger GT, whatever. But I just have not. I don't see that truly being a collector's car.
I just don't know who growing up right now is going to lust for a Stinger,
Right.
and then but they can't get it, and they'll get it as a dream car later. Like that's kind of what makes something collectible, right? Like someone who's 15 right now or 10 going, that Trackhawk was 700 horsepower. In 20 years they can buy it when they turn 35 or something. But like
Right.
what 10 or 12-year-old is going, this Kia is the shit. When I'm
No.
only older, I'll be able to fucking get it.
That'll be the new G37 sedan that we see rocking around. That's
Right.
a real good, pretty quick, sporty $10,000 car.
It'll
And
be
that's
someone's
kinda what it'll
drift taxi.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound, I don't know, super arrogant, but as somebody who has a 370Z and is seeing what those cars are turning into amongst that crowd, it makes me want to get rid of it. Because I'm sorry, but the stance crowd and all that is destroying this platform. And the most common thing I hear when people find out I have a 370Z, oh, you're going to bag it, bro? Are you going to turbo it, bro? It's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to use that VQ37 VHR in the way it's meant to. I'm going to rev that shit out. I'm going to take it to the track. It's got hand-built MCA suspension from Josh Coote himself, so I could take this car and go out and enjoy it in a grip form on track. The thing
They're
is,
good platforms.
there are excellent platforms for mechanical grip, and they were a good car for
I've
me
driven quite a few that were modified really well and drove fucking great.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, but the thing is, now you're finding them in either salvaged format or something. They're buying them super cheap, and then they're doing these super ghetto janky mods to them because of the scene, which in my opinion is destroying the stigma around the car. So I kind of don't even want to be associated with that, which is why I make it obvious that my car is a track car, and that's what it's built for.
We need to get you some new Nissan friends.
Well, I think anything
No, the
that
track
gets-
group, the Nissan Challenge group I hang out with, those are the guys
guys
who
race, yeah.
those are the guys. But I'm talking about when I go to the mall or something, and
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like
But anything that gets cheap enough will have that crowd. Like that car will be
Exactly.
parked next to it. A $7,000 Subaru next to it. $7,000 S2000.
it was
and they're all gonna
E30s.
be
E30s 5 years ago, right? They diverged. They either turned into stance or chump cars. Those are your two options for an E30.
yeah.
All right. Well, the Kia Stinger GT I find offensive as a classic. However, the Lexus LC500.
Yep.
How do you think it'll age?
Barely
Think
makes
it'll-
the cut though.
I think the
price-wise.
exterior will age
Yeah, right.
fine.
You think because it's real
Yeah.
concept car-y, but it's also real of the now.
So, having just seen one in person yesterday for the first time,
It's a sexy bitch, isn't it?
it doesn't photograph well, in my opinion. In person, it looks so much better. Sounds mean as hell too. I could see that being. It's kind of like a poor man's LFA, right? And so
yeah, it's actually I think they have out Aston Martin. Aston Martin.
I think
yeah.
better looking than Aston Martin or better looking
think-
than an LFA?
I think it's better looking and better driving than the DB11.
Oh, I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. Absolutely. I think a car that looks like that, in my opinion, exemplifies the times of design is like the C7. It's like real angular. There's a lot of stuff going on. I think this was nice because they tamed a lot of it down, smoothed it out, and it even for Lexus with the giant mouth, like the rest of it's not just razor blades.
Yeah.
I think this will age.
Like you
age
can
pretty
clearly see it's Lexus, but it's its own being.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking hot, dude.
Real good looking.
And you got to drive one. It drives so good.
Yeah.
It's lovely to drive that NAV8. It's like 470 horsepower, but it's a real snappy, revvy.
Is it heavy?
Kinda, but
Okay.
it's not imbalanced. You
Okay.
know, it's a GT car, but it's not like a fucking porker.
Yeah.
You can hustle it pretty good. I drove it 7 hours back from wherever the hell we were, and I loved it.
It's a good GT car.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, tighten the suspension up with change it over to like whatever D plus they call it or Sport Plus, and it definitely tightens up.
Awesome.
It feels heavy, but I think it's a very good all around car.
Yeah.
Good GT car.
Yeah. It's like a better alternative to a new SL Mercedes or something like that.
Yeah.
My SL is the best SL. Oh shit! Speaking of which, tangent. Go to my Instagram. You got to see what I got, bro. These dudes see the Benz in the middle. These dudes, my friends Devin and Werner, father sons, have a new floor mat company, and I asked them to make me a Coogee sweater style floor mat
Look at that.
for my Benz, and they look super fire. Speaking of, I don't even know how I got there, but click over to the right. Doesn't that look awesome?
Wow.
The carpeting is like really durable and thick, and it's like rubber underneath. They're nice. And it's
For the Benzo.
perfect radwood Coogee sweater.
It fits in that car so well.
Yeah, and with the flip out and shit, it's like so 2001.
Yes.
I feel like Biggie.
Yes, it is.
All right, back to that. Sorry, that tangent. I had to plug them. Thank you. That Lexus LC500 would be perfect with those formats. Cayman Boxster GTS is on the list.
They're having trouble selling them now.
They are.
They are. Yeah.
Is there cash on the hood?
I don't know about that. I know that they
gangster.
are, you know, people option them up really high and then they knock on 911 door and they go, ooh, I'm kind of close. Even though those cars are phenomenal for driving.
Yeah. A GTS is $80,000 is tough.
Let me tell you what's funny about these cars is when I'm at the track in my 370Z, it's always the Caymans that I'm battling, which makes it really fun because I know I'm a third the cost. You know what I mean? The all-in cost on the Z.
Yeah.
But it seems like every time I'm in the Z, it's me and some Cayman, and it's fun. It's fun.
I love
Similar
Caymans.
power to weight,
I think they drive really good. They're a
Yeah.
lot of fun, and actually, the 718 is fucking fast. The S especially is really, really fast. And I drove a GT4 after driving the 718, and I wish the GT4 had a 718S engine in it.
Really?
Ooh, wow.
It would be faster. A 718S Boxster is faster around the Nürburgring than a GT4 Cayman.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
So-
That's a big deal.
So these things are really going to be fast, but like...
I feel like Porsche has so many trims though. They're kind of confused on who should be faster than who. To be honest.
They are.
True. And long term, if long term sound beats speed long term, and that's why a Ferrari GTO is $50 million and a Ford GT40 is $2 million, even though the Ford GT40 beat the Ferrari.
So
because
Right.
the Ferrari sounds better.
So a GT4 will probably
Yep.
over the long term.
The GT4 is the buy and hold. The 718 Boxster GTS is the lease for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? At very low terms with cash on the hood.
And in 2 years, that'll be a $50,000 car. That is a great driver.
The second owner is going to have the best time with a GTS.
Right.
Is that it, Timmy? Or is there more?
Oh.
WXR.
interesting.
Okay, STI Type RA. This is the $50,000 STI.
This is like a list of new cars.
I have to admit, I
Well,
saw an
they
RA.
they are new cars.
Right,
That's the
no,
point of the thing.
We saw an RA yesterday when I was dropping my car off, and I don't know what the RA trim is.
Okay, you get a lot more than you think you do.
Okay.
You get a custom valve set of Bilsteins.
Okay.
You get chassis stiffening in the front and the rear. You get a carbon fiber roof, which does save weight, but it also actually is structural. It's more rigid.
So it's a hollow roof, and then it's skinned with carbon fiber.
It's a full carbon fiber roof. The
Interesting.
entire roof is made of carbon fiber.
Okay.
Yeah. You get different like Alcantaras and stuff that's some basics, and you get a front splitter that's different, and you get a rear wing. I drove it, and you get different gear ratios.
No power improvement at all?
No, stock power.
interesting.
So
And they make 500 of
they're
them.
making 500. That's why it will be collectible, because there will always be 500 Subaru freaks who are willing to pay good money for this thing. And actually, I think it's dumb. It's $50,000 Subaru, but the shit that's been done to it is that factory tuner shit that you can't do at home. You
Right.
can't. you can't for any kind of reasonable cost take your STI and turn it into this.
Yeah.
You're not doing the structural carbon roof. You're just
Right.
not. So, you know,
There's someone that they put a carbon roof on their E46 M3, and I looked at the pictures and I was like, you are out of your mind. Like there's clamps there they had to cut the roof off, you know, use the clamps to keep all the structure together lined up perfectly, which who knows if you do, and then you have to like epoxy in this new carbon roof that someone sends you. It just seems like a really crazy idea.
Just craziness. I mean, remember Larry, what he had to do to get rid of his So Larry, my friend, has a 964, and he wanted to sunroof delete his 964.
Okay.
And he had to find, you know, another car and cut his entire fucking roof off from the base of the A pillar to the base of the C pillar and graft a completely new roof on.
There's
So
some
crazy.
projects that just make you go, why? Just get a donor car and swap everything over at that point. You know.
Well, he in this particular car, he has a very strong, I think, emotional attachment to the car, and in addition to there was a little bit of rust, and so some of this was to get rid of the rust. But
okay.
So thank you, Haggerty.com/newsletter if you want to get varying lists related to collector car shit. Anything left over on Super Chat, Tim? Anyone have anything else to say before we get out of here? No. Oh wait, there is one. Yeah. What did that say? Thinking of an 08. Is that a
06.
Legacy 06 LGT 5MT? That's a Legacy GT. 06 it's got to be.
Oh, I like that car.
Right? Legacy GT.
Yeah, it's got to be.
As a daily driver for $7,500. Now that's got the STI engine in it, right? Yeah.
It's got a 2.5 turbo.
2.5 turbo. Has 96,000 miles and head gasket, clutch, timing bulb, water pump. Assuming that means it's been serviced. P.S. What does it say?
Oh, he's asking me if I'm doing my stream this week. Yeah, I don't have any plans on canceling it this week.
Do your stream.
I know, right? I mean, leave him wanting more, Matt. That's what you got to do.
I know, they always want more. So I am a huge fan of that generation of Legacy GT.
Me too.
It is I think that might be one of the best cars Subaru ever made. All things considered.
And they're not. You don't see them that often. The
$7,500
GT.
seems cheap.
It does. It makes me
Seems
wonder,
too cheap.
and especially if all of this work's already been done to it, timing chain and all that stuff.
Right?
So
Doesn't that sound like a Legacy GT with under 100,000 miles and a manual for $7,500?
It might be fucked up. It might look like shit. You know, it might have two different colored doors.
That's
so
true.
There's a lot
But
of
if the
things.
body is straight, right? I mean,
If the body's straight and it's got that
$3,000
work
paint
done.
job, and
Oh, the wagon. Yes,
Yeah.
give us the wagon, Tim. The wagon is my favorite, but honestly,
So
even
good.
the sedan is nice. I just think that the build quality on these was pretty good.
Yeah.
It felt like a more mature car, and it was before they chunkified and uglified
You
it.
can make those quick with, you know, tuning and downpipe stuff. Like, I think that'd be a really nice, like, daily driver, camera transport vehicle.
I know a dude who's
yeah.
got one of those is like a sleeper that makes like 350 wheel or so, and it's really quiet. It's nice.
Great.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd say, I mean, assuming it's not, you know, super ugly or fucked, I say in general, that's a good car.
You don't have to look far to find a Legacy GT build that's clean, doesn't
Yeah.
cost a lot, but it just I've always found myself going over a good Legacy versus just some WRX or STI, you know, whatever, because those are a dime a dozen. But the Legacy, the guys that put money into those are the true Subaru enthusiasts, in my opinion.
And usually a more mature enthusiast who
Yeah.
probably has a better job, like either does the maintenance themselves better or can afford better maintenance, and just,
Yeah.
they're not gonna like beat the shit out of it.
Cool, man. What do you want to plug, Jay? YouTube, Twitter?
I mean, JazyTwoCents is where you guys can find me on just about everything, minus Facebook. I don't really Facebook anymore, but
Are you out of Facebook?
whoops, I haven't touched Facebook in like 2 years.
And do you feel like you're missing anything?
No, not really.
Did you delete your Facebook or is it just
No,
idle?
it's still there. It just shows the last post was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Do people message you on Facebook and do you answer them? I'm just curious.
the last time I looked, there was like thousands of notifications, so I have no idea. I mean,
Back away slowly.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not. All right, cool. So YouTube, Twitter, other social media
yeah,
platforms.
and I mean, I do have a car channel too, and you can find the link to that in the description of my main channel. But it's one of those things where I'm trying to find a good balance between the car stuff and the tech stuff, and I kind of want to share my car passion with all of my audience, but of course, not all of the audience appreciates it when a lot of them
Yes.
come for tech. So I'm trying to find a good balance moving forward. Like we do have a video coming up later this week where it's covering the custom brackets being made for my 370, and we pick that up tomorrow, so that'll kind of conclude that. But that'll go up on the second channel. But other than that, I mean, I think a lot of people would have to agree with me that if you're into tinkering and building computers, the idea of tinkering with cars is not that different.
It's not a big stretch. I mean, I branched out to do a podcast about watches
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
It was because I started talking about watches on this show, and people got annoyed and like, go make a new show. So
Yeah.
we made a new show. Now they're trying to say I should make a new Instagram. Go fuck yourself. How about that?
Well, that
I'm making a new Instagram.
It's easy for me though to say Jay's 2 cents. It's just it's about my opinion, and I've got many opinions. Many people don't agree with, but I've got a lot of opinions, and it's not Jay's 2 computers or Jay's 2 cars. It's just Jay talking about whatever. Not to be confused with Jay-Z, by the way. You'd be surprised how many people tweet me very angry thinking I'm Jay-Z.
Well, I pronounced it, having read it only. Remember the first time you came in, I pronounced it wrong, but not this time. That's what happens. I meet people, and I've only read their fucking name or whatever, and I don't pronounce it right.
I mean, long story short, the S was taken already. You know, so I thought I was being super cool by using a Z, and then whatever. You know?
Totally acceptable.
A legitimate amount of my followers, like I would say probably in the 1,000 or so, have followed me thinking I was Jay-Z, but then we're like, oh, I'm into computers too, so the accidental follow turned into a legit follow.
That's great.
Yeah,
I think that's a
so
very
like Jay-Z has a computer show?
Yeah.
Do you do smartwatch shit ever? You into smartwatches?
I couldn't care less.
Great. Mechanical watches?
I don't like wearing things on my wrist. I know I'm weird. I mean, I don't like jewelry. I don't like wearing watches, necklaces. I'm just basic.
That's all good, brother. I was just gonna say I would invite you in the other room to do the other show if you were. I'm looking for someone to explain the virtue of smartwatches to me who knows about them. And you're the first person I thought of.
Well, it's one of those things. I obviously know a lot about them. I just personally don't wear them. My wife, on the other hand, lives by hers.
Do you want to send her in the show?
She probably could tell you more than I could.
I would like to speak to a smartwatch expert on the watch show, and I don't know any. So if there is one out there who's interested, just shoot me an email.
You need to talk to Austin Evans.
Who's that?
He's actually a neighbor of mine at the studio that I have.
Oh.
He's also a car guy. He's the guy who has the RS3 I told you about.
Oh.
And
I heard you dropped a YouTuber neighbor somewhere, and it went through the cracks.
No, he's very into wearables and smartwatches and all of that. So I will connect you two
for sure.
And I think that would be a match made in heaven.
Okay, yeah, cool. Thank you. Jay from Jay's 2 Cents, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us. We got good strong retention on the live stream. So thank you, live people. Thank you for you listening at home, you watching. Here's where we go. The Smoking Tire podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. Yada, yada, yada. Talk into microphone. Send it to internet. Nah. Good evening.